Yo, what's good, y'all? How y'all doing? We about to make this thing jump off. What's going on, TK Tag? Y'all know what time it is, man. It's time for us to get this junk ready.
Let's get down
Jumping off. Your boy Marty is here with me.
Yes, I am.
You already know how I get down. Let's get this thing cranked up. 3, 2, 1. Hoo-ha! 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 Final. What's good, y'all? What's happening with you? It's your boy M.I. Sizzle. Got your boy Marty over here. What's happening with you, Marty?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot, you know. Just another day, another dollar.
What's going on with your Panther? What's going on with your Lone Wolf? AKA, where my money at, Jay Fierce? We gonna get you your money, brother. We gonna get you your money, you know what I'm saying? Grandma, where you at, homie? You need is cash. Anyway, what's been going on with y'all, man? Been a pretty good weekend, you know. So I've had a pretty good weekend. Marty, I know you had an excellent weekend. Tell us all about it.
No, just I did not have a good weekend. I very rarely these days have a good weekend. So.
Come on now, Marty. Come on now.
Look, man. Just had a lot going on. Wasn't really able to relax too much this weekend. But it's all good.
Oh, what's going on with your Panther? Being sore. What you been doing, boy? You been out in the streets? I told you about staying off them courts, bro. I told you about staying on the courts. Staying off the courts, bro. You know, it's wild out there. Fools gonna put you down. Nigga shook you. Your legs is hurting. Ankles about to break. I'm sorry that had to happen to you like that, man.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck.
Hey, look, Tags, I just have a lot going on in my life constantly. So it's just the type of life that I lead. Like, I don't really ask for it. It just kind of happens.
Oh, what's going on with your horror? What's happening? What's happening? I know you was at the court, brother. See, that's what it's like. I told you every time you go to the court, something bad happened, brother. Just stop trying to ball, bro. Play NBA Live or 2K or something. I don't even know which one of them is good. Do what you need to do. I'm happy y'all are all here with us today, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad y'all able to fuck with your boys today, man. We got some interesting topics today, some heavy topics, you know what I'm saying? You know, heavy like goddamn, like your balls when you ain't nutted in goddamn 6-7 months. Your balls get real heavy, you know what I'm saying? They drag and shit. Dragon balls.
Stop. Stop it.
Y'all know about them goddamn Dragon Balls.
Oh my god.
Holla at your boys. So Mark, tell us about your comeback attack.
I didn't announce that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, not everybody knows. Go ahead and explain how you want to make a comeback. I heard that boy Lay is coming back to Texas. He's been sequestered by the people.
Oh, okay.
And now he will be making a comeback.
Wow.
I just got this from Harada today. He emailed me.
Oh, okay.
He said he liked the work we're doing. He's going to give me the scoop. He said, you got to get Marty back, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Harada's like, man, I got to have Marty playing.
He was.
Second,
He's like,
yeah.
you got to get that guy, Marty?
Yeah.
Marty? Yeah, we need him back. We need him back. And I was like, hey, man, the only way to get back is to put Lay in the game. I ain't particularly fond of that shit, but I want my nigga back playing. He was like, oh, yeah. Lay come back. Lay make a large comeback.
Lay make large comeback. Okay.
Most definitely. What's going on with your subtle puddle? What's happening? Man, I'm glad to have y'all in here, man.
Definitely.
Listen, boy, we had a topic on our hands today that was really running the streets.
It's been jumping, y'all.
It's been jumping.
It's been jumping.
But we got an even more pressing topic at the moment. That's the return of a legend. Possibly. Now, something we know about legends, you know, they're things that are from old, often, but every once in a while you got a living legend, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some might argue that he has old symptoms, but what he does not have is an old soul, okay? He has the ability to make himself shine amongst the youngsters. Hat or hairline, that boy fighting GM, taking home Defend the North. Now, some people might have made the argument that wasn't nobody at the tournament. I don't know who was there. I saw some people I knew, you know what I'm saying? So somebody was there. But he did his thing, you know what I mean? He did his thing.
Yeah. That's what's important.
Abstract, thanks for the host, homie.
That's what's important. I mean, you can only play the people that are there. So.
And this is the second tournament. Like that, he had a few knocks on him, He definitely, I think, is the highest ranked player. I want to say on the PSN. No, he was at some point in time. I don't know if he still is. But a lot of knocks against him where, you don't go out and play no live tournaments. Now we know he's good. He's been good traditionally. I don't know what has kept him from, per se. Oh, that's all. There we go. Anyway, he has definitely been. He's been showing himself to be quite a formidable opponent.
Yeah, but, he always has been. I don't know why this would surprise me.
I think what the surprise was just he hadn't came out yet. I believe that might be the first major we've seen him at.
Yeah.
However, it was in New York, so I don't know if that still is a strike against him. As to he hadn't came out to the masses where everyone else is. I don't know what that's about. Maybe he just needs some traveling issues, or
maybe he just hadn't wanted to go.
Well, I mean, he's been playing in all the locals, and he had made some plans to go to, I think, CEO. I want to say he's supposed to go to Combo Breaker, but some things fell through.
No, maybe he's just busy.
A whole bunch of stuff really going down for him. But yeah, like Horov said, this is his second considerably large win in recent times. He just came off the Red Bull win, which I'm pretty sure had some good players there, because people trying to get that Red Bull money, you know what I'm saying, that Red Bull spotlight. Shout out our boy Anakin, you know what I'm saying, the Red Bull King right now. Sorry, I had to sip.
Had to hydrate.
It was necessary.
Oh, that's all.
Before the bot came up and told me about myself. Anyway, you can just tell it looks like he might still be on that hitting his stride. He might be on that long path to his way back. I would like to see him come back. For the first time, I got to see with my own two eyes his offline gameplay with Geese. I know I think I saw him one time at one of the I want to say it is the iFix Machine tournaments. I forgot what they call them up there, but I know that's where they stream them. I mean, he got busy, but this is the first time I actually really got to watch and check out, what his style was like. And there's always been the comparison of we heard GM Geese is pretty good, and then we know Trungian Geese is good. 96 tried to make a name for himself, you know what I'm saying? I want to say that after observing his Geese, I would say what I saw he's probably slightly under Trump.
Slightly under Trump.
Just by what I saw him do and what I've seen from you do, I think it would be a pretty good matchup to see those two play against each other. Be interesting to see their take on the matchup against each other. He definitely is known for maximizing his punishment, but I could see that he definitely didn't seem to take that route in his gameplay at this particular tournament. But he did seem to play like a pretty solid game. So I guess he didn't really need to do the maximum damage combos all the time. When he got a chance to just keep going in, tearing fools up over and over again. Yeah. I would say I was pretty proud of his success out there. Shout out to boy GM Fizzle.
Yeah, shout out to GM. Congrats on the win, man.
Most definitely. In other news, man, as the world turns.
As it turns.
You know, another soul burns, you know what I'm saying?
That was a whole soap opera.
What you know about As the World Turns? Man?
As the World Turns, yeah.
Yeah, that's way back in the day.
Yeah,
way back. Super far back. I remember them soap operas. Do soap operas still even come on TV?
Oh, yeah. I think they're still running General Hospital, or they were, like...
What you know about The Young and the Restless?
Yeah.
I still remember that damn violin.
It had, like, the small piano part in the background.
Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
Why do I even know that? I have no idea why the fuck I know anything about The Young and the Restless. That shit must have...
the only reason I know about it, my mom used to watch all that stuff when I was a little kid. And so, like, I would be around the house and just, like, I would hear that stuff.
All I know is we used to fuck with 11 o'clock. We was fucking with that Price is Right. Okay? Hard, heavy duty Price is Right. Okay? Niggas was always had the popcorn ready. Nigga took all the piss breaks right before it was time. I ain't gonna miss not 1 cent. Not 1 cent being spent. You know what I'm saying? Don't get to the goddamn big rolling wheel. And the nigga get 90 cents.
Yeah.
And that nigga just sitting over there. He's like,
showdown.
Now the best was like a nigga getting 90 cents on his first roll. He'd be like, I'm good. I'm good. And lose. Because the last person gets...
Somebody get up there, $1.
Yeah, get $1 on his ass. Let me tell you something. That shit used to make the nigga extra salty. Especially when, you know how niggas... you always support the nigga. You be like, oh, yeah, that nigga gonna get it. He gonna get it. He got 95 cents. He's in there. Nobody's beating him. Old white lady from goddamn Nebraska.
Yeah.
Can't even spin the wheel her damn self. That nigga Bob Barker gotta get on the other side
go help her.
and help her roll the shit. Then for some reason the shit it's going as fast as a motherfucker. Shit roll around 3, 4, 5 times. Then it just starts slowing down around 85 cents. Then 60 cents. Then 20 cents.
And then 5 cents.
Then 5 cents.
And then
it should
$1.
It'll go to $1. Go past $1 and bounce back up to $1. I say, how the fuck you do that? They got that shit spring loaded, trying to get a nigga up out of here. Don't want to give a nigga a goddamn cruise ship. Let a nigga live. You know what I'm saying? Get that nigga that Kia. Back in the day, the Neo Geo. They used to give away a Neo Geo.
Man.
No, you can't ride no Neo Geo in the hood. Folks is definitely gonna give your ass all the tongue lashing. Okay? You was about to get roasted like a damn turkey during goddamn Thanksgiving. Stuffed. They was gonna get you the fuck up out of there. Yeah, you would not survive. They always giving away some bullshit you don't want. You know what I'm saying? And then they had them weak ass prices. The prices be high as fuck. I'm like, what the fuck you shopping?
Oh man, they had some cool prizes. Like one of the coolest ones I remember that they had was they had a Monopoly set that like all the money was actual money, and then the pieces were solid gold, and then you know how the houses and the hotels are like green and red?
Yeah.
Well, the houses are made of emerald and the hotels are made of rubies.
What the fuck?
And it was like a solid. It was the coolest prize I've ever seen. I was like, this is amazing.
That shit sound like a damn $10,000 prize.
Like, it was, I forgot, like, how much Marcus? They said that it was, but, like, oh, man, it was so cool. I was just like, that is the coolest prize ever. I would love to have that.
Nigga, I don't
That's
even know
amazing.
How to guess what price that is. Maybe it might have just been like was it like one of them prizes on the Showcase Showdown?
No, it was one of the ones,
oh, at the beginning.
Yeah, it was one of the ones at the beginning of the show.
$1!
Yeah.
I love how people confidently say $1! I saw one person say $1 and then somebody said $2. Let me tell you something. That
got him up out of there.
That nigga was so salty, dog.
Oh, that's great.
$2 got him all the way up out of there.
Oh, man.
What's going on with you, sis, Mo? Man, let me tell you something, man. That Price is Right is a classic show, okay? That man, Bob Barker, I don't know what he doing. He probably out there, goddamn, spaying and neutering cats and dogs. You know, he out there in the streets trying to make sure everybody know. You know what's up.
You know what's up. Control that pet population.
Yeah, that pet population, man. Speaking of which, man, thanks for that host, Stormy. Speaking of which, man, we got some horrible news. If y'all hadn't already heard, man, we gotta do a moment of silence right quick, man. A quick moment of silence. Oh man, they did it to us, man. They killed the cat, dog. The fucking dogs got a hold of my boy Garfield.
They ran up
got
on,
him the fuck up.
They ran
up
on Garfield.
They
man.
ran up on Garfield, got him the fuck up out of here.
That's just sad, man. Like,
let me tell y'all something. I don't know how the dogs got up on the porch. They grabbed Garfield in the jaws, bit down on him. You know what I'm saying? Carried him down the stairs. 96 woke up with a shovel, had to hit the dogs. I didn't even know this was going down. This is like 12 o'clock in the fucking morning. I was knocked the fuck out. Then I woke up the next morning, man, and I seen him in a tire. You know, just looking at. It was raining outside. I was like, why the fuck you in the tire? You know, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck you doing in the tire? It's raining like fuck. Go on the damn porch. But you know, I had to go to work. I ain't had time for all that shit. So I come back and pull up in the driveway. I see somebody, you know, I didn't know what he was doing. You know, I thought he was just chilling. I thought maybe he was asleep. You know what I'm saying? He was just all fours extended. Then I just noticed it was like a shitload of flies. I thought it was because he was by the trash can. So I was like, what are these fucking flies doing around? This motherfucker's so lazy, he don't give a fuck about the flies. He's just gonna let the flies be around. Got out the car. Soulless. You know what I'm saying? Body looked kind of wet, damp.
Yeah.
You know, I could see where his lungs were. It was a little expanded. He was right outside of that tire, bro. Little Garfield didn't make it, man.
I got Garfield up out of here.
Little Garfield didn't make it, man. Shout out to my boy Garfield, man. I wish we had a picture with him. Put up. I'm gonna wear a Garfield shirt. You know, shout out to my nigga Garfield. Man. We had to bury him in a trash bag inside of the dumpster. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Then the worst part was when I was scooping him up with the shovel to put him in the trash bag. Here comes Sims, just standing there looking at him. Like, Sims, don't look at me shovel up your brother, bro. Then Shola come down the stairs.
Shola came down there.
We had a little mini wake for him, you know what I'm saying? A little mini funeral. And Fat Mama, she's still around. However, the actual Mama also is nowhere to be found. We feel like she crawled off somewhere and died peacefully. Because normally the only time she goes missing is when she having kids and she wasn't pregnant. So, you know, 2 of them cats is up out of here.
Yeah.
One by force, the other by natural causes, I assume. Maybe she just out chilling somewhere and getting knocked up. Ain't no telling. I hate to break the news to my mom because that's her cat, but
Yeah.
you know.
It happens, but it's sad.
It was sad, dog. That's alright. We still got Sims and Shola. We got Fat Mama and Scaredy Cat left. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna press on though. We're gonna press on.
Yeah.
We're not gonna let that get us down in the streets. Because this is the realm of the real where only the real can chill.
Yeah. We gotta go out there and live for Garfield.
Gotta live for Garfield, you know what I mean? Speaking of which, let's get on it, man.
We do.
Cats losing their lives out in the streets. People losing their lives out in the streets. You know, more serious tone in here, man. Listen, we had some shit pop off this week that was just not. Oh, look at them, man. They got the little Garfield with the glasses pictures, man. Why y'all gonna do it to me, man? That boy Garfield, man. I gotta fade out. Goddamn, I gotta fade out right quick, man. Y'all gonna do it to me, man. Let me get off the screen right quick, man. Y'all gonna do it to me. I can't believe they trying to do it to me. Why y'all doing it for?
Little Garfield.
Oh no. Shit. Sorry. Oh no. That nigga Garfield. Love for my boy Garfield, man. He ain't even get to see the ripe age, man.
He didn't. He was still just a kid.
He was just a little kitten, man. He ain't know what was up. Oh, they got the new Garfield picture. Oh, they killing your boy. And the dog that ate him. Oh, no. Oh, no. Say it ain't so. Man.
Rest in peace, Garfield.
Rest in peace on a nigga Garfield. You just developed your balls. I just was able to tell you as a boy cat. Goddamn Garfield all the way out, man. That's right. Pour out some sour milk for your boy Garfield, dog.
Sour? Why's it have to be sour?
Hey, man.
We can't pour out good milk for him?
Hell no. We gotta use that shit. That nigga's gone. Anyway, man, listen. We got some shit popped off this week. I'll talk about it, man. Let me bring it up for you guys on the screen. We're gonna talk about this stand your ground case that popped off in Florida. Basically,
Worst state. Easily bottom 5 state in this nation. Place is a dive.
Florida, man, A1.
Awful.
A1, brother.
Awful one, yeah. A1.
I like that one, Marty. I like that one. That was pretty Marty McFly.
Yeah, exactly, Panther. It's always Florida.
Hey, man.
Florida, man. That's exactly what.
We're gonna take a look at this, man. I know y'all can hear it popping right now. I mean, it's just really fucked up what happened here, you know. Push that nigga down. Yo, man, what the fuck you? Oh shit. They actually took no time for the nigga to pull the gun.
Probably ready to shoot.
He was already ready to shoot somebody.
That's how cowards are, man. They're ready to shoot.
I mean, that took 0 time for that nigga to pull the gun and blast the nigga away. Oh man, I don't want to see it crying like that. Oh, look at your boy at the gun range. And this is just basically an article from Fox really telling you what happened. If you don't really understand what the law is, basically Florida's stand your ground statute is, in short, gives a person the right to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony, all without a duty to retreat. Now, I don't know about y'all, man. I don't know about y'all. Sound like
exactly, Panther. Thank you. After a shove, like that's one of the biggest things that's one of the biggest problems I have with the stand your ground law is entirely too subjective, like entirely too subjective, and it goes with other laws like the Castle Doctrine law in South Carolina, and you know, I think they have Castle Doctrine in Texas as well, but like it's too subjective. It's the same thing that cops do when they kill people. Like, oh, I felt threatened. Okay, well, if you can just say that you feel threatened or whatever, you just have a license to kill anybody.
I mean, really?
Yeah, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it makes no sense that you can do this kind of stuff, particularly in Florida and South Carolina, stuff like that. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just don't understand. I guess the reason for these laws that really are so stupid, like you said, they are too subjective, because it's like you don't have a definitive line drawn.
Yeah.
And I mean, in certain situations, you know, I don't mean what it's like when we make that argument about, you know, when is it okay to hit a woman back? You know, you can't wait till it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say, oh, well, if somebody pulls a gun on you, then you can pull a gun back. Because by that time you already shot.
Yeah, like it's gonna shoot you. You know?
But no, there isn't a song request on Cisco. But by the time it comes around to where, you know, basically, you know, you don't necessarily have a level at which you can say, oh, you know what, man? I think after you're getting punched or wailed on, then you can shoot a fool to get him up off. I mean, I guess because there was an assault. I mean, we can't look around the fact that there was an assault. It's a blindside. He pushed him. While this doesn't sound like it is a reasonable thing to shoot somebody over, provisions of the law, I guess, are just saying, like, listen, I can't tell that he wasn't going to stand there and then jump on me and beat my ass. I wasn't going to give him the opportunity to. So I could see how he's likely definitely going to not get anything happening to him. I think they've already said they're not going to press any charges against him.
Oh, no, I mean, he's not going to, particularly in Florida, like, you know, you're not going to, if somebody's in self-defense, and this goes back to the George Zimmerman case, actually. That's the main reason why, like, the law was so lenient with him and he never got arrested and stuff, like, after killing Trayvon Martin. Is because Florida's self-defense laws, if you kill somebody in self-defense, the police don't have to arrest you. And, like, you're not going to get arrested. Like I read up on Florida's laws after that case because I was just like, how on earth could these people, like, let this man go? And how on earth could there be a jury of his peers that, you know, to vote to just have this man released? Like, that made no sense.
He's good.
Yeah.
Now, conversely, which is what I think is really the driving force behind why this is such a big thing, because I'm pretty sure this type of shit happens all the time. Obviously, one, because it's on film. So, you know, anytime something's on film, it always is exponentially focused on by the media, you know, by people in general. Because once you see some shit happens, it really brings it home a lot harder than hearing about it. But what about the idea, like, if this was two niggas in the hood fighting, and one pulled the gun out and shot the other one, I'm pretty sure he's going to jail. Even though he may even be in more rights to stand his ground, you know. I mean, they could be actually coming to blows. I think the idea that, you know,
well, I mean, like, that's kind of the thing I'm saying. Like, that's kind of one of the problems with Florida as a state, like, as a whole, is like the state laws. The state laws favor someone who's going to get in a conflict and they kill the other person. Like, that's where staying your ground works the best, is if you kill the other person because they can't tell their side of the story. Like, you know, once again, looking back at the George Zimmerman case, right? George Zimmerman murder case. Like, that was the biggest thing. The fact that he killed Trayvon Martin was the biggest defense to his case, because there's no one else to tell the other side. It's the middle of the night. No one else actually, like, fully saw anything. And he just gunned this kid down. And then just said, oh, well, he actually jumped on me and I was the one screaming for help. And so then I reached for my pistol and killed him. And then, you know, which didn't make any sense at the time that he said it. But, you know.
You know how it is. You know, like I said, that's just it's so fucked up how laws can just be used subjectively, you know, by pretty much anybody who's got the power to enforce them, you know. And really, I don't even know that there's a takeaway from this that's not going to that would even say that, you know, there's no justification for what he did. Because in actuality, when you give a broad law like that, you know,
you're giving them all the justification they need. That's the problem. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, that's the issue. When you make a broad law like that, and granted, he's the one that started the conflict in the first place. That really didn't need, you know, to be escalated to that point. But I mean, you got to think about what type of reaction you would have if somebody came up and was harassing your girlfriend or your wife or something like that, right? And then you just shove them away, and he just instantly pulls out a gun and shoots somebody. Like, I agree with Hora saying, like, the gun stuff is some of the most corny, gutless, cowardly things of all time. Like the nation of America has become a nation of cowards. Like, people just, you know, trying to say that they're manly because they have guns and stuff, but it's just like, no, you're just a coward. You're hiding behind the gun because you're afraid to resolve conflict in a way that
just civil.
Yeah,
that requires
your brain. Yeah, exactly.
And they in this situation, the sheriff was talking in a press conference, and this is what he said. He said he explained while McLaughlin's back off after the shove gave him pause. Ultimately, I don't know what this nigga's name is. Dre Jaka, whatever the fuck his name is. Dredka, maybe that's what it is. Dredka, said he was worried that he would be struck again. So, even though he pushed the dude, clearly was not coming after the dude, he felt like he was about to charge him.
Yeah, that's the same thing the cops do. Yeah. Oh, I felt I was in danger of my life, and you know they've shot people that were walking away from them unarmed, and they're like, oh, I felt threatened. And like that's literally the same excuse the police give.
And then let's check out what else the sheriff said. He says he emphasizes that this wasn't a small push. This wasn't a shove. This wasn't just a tap. He slammed him to the ground.
Oh, man.
I don't know if I saw any Hulk Hogan moves.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of WWF back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know what a slam looked like. You know, that wasn't no German suplex. That wasn't a power bomb. it wasn't even a scoop slam. Okay, that wasn't even a setup for the leg drop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, it was a push. Now the man was old, so maybe, you know, and caught off guard. So if he got pushed, yeah, he fell to the ground.
Oh, they're asking what led up to the shove, Mike.
All right, so if you want to know what led up to the shove, basically, this guy, he basically did the Dredka, whatever the dude's name is. We're gonna call him D-Man because I'm gonna be fucking his name up simply because this shit's hard to pronounce. D-Man, he basically walked up to these people. The man and his girl and the kids, they had pulled up to, I guess, this convenience store. It's what it looked like, a convenience store. Just run in and get some shit right quick. Maybe got the kids use the restroom. I don't really know what the fuck he went in the store for. In doing so, you know, they pulled in a handicap parking. So your boy D-Man pulls up, pistol in the waist, you know what I'm saying? Ready to scrap with the scrap, you know what I'm saying? And he comes in and he's pretty much fucking with the dude's lady, you know what I'm saying? She's at a car, he's telling her about herself, like, y'all motherfuckers got 2 perfectly good working legs. Y'all done took this goddamn parking spot from us, you know what I'm saying? Us. I guess the handicap, you know, that's only kind of us I could think you'd be talking about. And so he's like, we got legs that we can't walk that far. Even though there seemed to be parking closer to the door available. I guess he just wanted the handicap spot, you know, just to have it. Now, I ain't pointing fingers, but I mean, he could have parked in the right parking spot.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other parking spots available, but at the end of the day, as this even reports, it says that the D-Man has a history of confronting people over handicapped spaces, allegedly threatening to shoot a trucker in the past over the issue. But the sheriff said legally, D-Man's history is irrelevant for the Thursday shooting. Jacobs' girlfriend, the one that was in the argument with the dude, says he was just defending me and his children, and she wants justice. You know, these were like young kids. I think one was like 5, one might have been like 4 years old, something like that. Maybe, I can't really remember. I don't think this article really tells. But basically, he comes out to see somebody, you know, disrespecting this woman. You know how he gets over our women in the streets, man. You know what I'm saying? When a black man actually loves his black woman, the nigga come outside and see white man talking that shit. Like, he don't know if she's spitting yang. It's like, this old goddamn, possibly old multi-millionaire goddamn redneck ass nigga gonna be in my car trying to spit game to my woman? And then he got a little bit closer. He was like, hold on, this nigga is a slack jaw yokel, actually. Hell no, he's fussing with my woman. Hell, you don't be goddamn talking. You talk to me. You don't talk to my woman. And you know, in a what was probably, in retrospect, definitely wasn't a great decision. He let his rage get the best of him. Instead of going over there and having words with him, he decided to go over there and, you know what he did? He straight bum rushed him, pushed him real quick. Like, now probably his push, I don't know if the man's push was that of a goddamn Hadouken that has been fully charged. What's that shit called? A dingy Hadouken? He hit him with the man flew back like he got hit by a dingy Hadouken. You know what I'm saying? I ain't exactly sure he hit him with something that strong. It looked like it was a light punch Hadouken. You know, but because he was off guard, you know, like I said, he flew back, and ultimately he set himself up for the okie doke.
Which is absolutely ridiculous because, like, you know, the ridiculous part about it is they're saying that his behavior, his past behavior, and stuff was completely irrelevant to the case. And it's just like, this man is clearly unstable and doesn't need a gun if he's running around threatening to shoot people over handicap spaces like that. No,
that don't need to be flying. And I like how when they brought that up, I like how the sheriff was just like, oh, well, that's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's just like,
I mean,
no, the fuck is not. Like, so, it's not irrelevant.
I mean, it could almost be said that this motherfucker has, he preset this up so that if anything was going down, he wanted to shoot somebody. So all he did was cause a confrontation. You know, he just didn't take it the physical route. So when somebody went physical, it's time to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, he's tired. He needed a moving target. He's tired of going to the gun range and blasting at the goddamn black man who ain't moving. You know, let me shoot a real one. You know what I'm saying? Let's get one of them niggers up out of here. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, we don't know if that's what his intent was. Obviously, we definitely are speculating. But at the end of the day, like Marty said, I mean, when you have somebody unhinged like that, really, are you really not going to process that as an issue? Especially if it's documented that he's done this. Mm-hmm. Like, why is this fool still rolling around with a gun? Exactly. Like, once you have documentation that states that this person is an irresponsible person, or they're using their right to bear arms in a manner that is not responsible, in an irresponsible manner, then you need to go ahead and yank that right away from them.
And yeah, something just came up in the chat that is 100% true and links into what we're going to talk about later. But if that was a black person, Gucci Gang, you're 100% right. They would have brought up something he did years ago, some minor crime he did years ago, like he stole candy or something, and justify why he got shot.
He stole an X-Men figurine back in '97.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So he's clearly got a criminal history.
Criminal background. You know,
yeah, it was 100% true.
You know, that it just goes to show us that I mean, you never know what could be your last day. You know what I'm saying? So gotta. God damn, man, I'm back thinking about Garfield. I ain't even pet him good. You know what I'm saying? I ain't pet him before I left the house. I could have pet him and prevented his death. Probably just need a soothing hand. You know, but hey, we could talk about it. I mean,
we can, sure.
I mean, it's no problem to address when niggas are taking niggas out. It ain't no better than when goddamn a white man's taking a guy out. No. I think the reason that this is such a hot topic is because the idea is when
and plus you're missing the main difference. Like people like this piss me off. People like this guy that just commented $12 Heyacho piss me off to no end. You're missing the main point. The main point is that those people who are shooting people in Chicago, when they get found, when they get caught, they get arrested and they get punished.
They going to jail.
They're going to jail.
You're going to jail now.
This guy that just shot this guy over a parking space gets to go walk around free again when he has been threatening people with a gun, with a gun before. Like, I am so sick of people bringing up Chicago when we talk about any other gun violence, particularly if it's a white person and a black person. I am so tired of that shit. Like, people have been trying to stop the gun violence in Chicago for years. There are many groups that are active there, anti-violence groups, anti-gun groups, that are actually doing work. Like, crime in Chicago is going down, but it's still a problem there.
It's not going to be eliminated. I mean,
no, it's not.
Crime is not going to be eliminated.
You can't stop people from being people. I mean, like, people are still gonna, if they feel some type of way about it enough, then they're gonna go shoot somebody. Or like, some people are gonna do that. You can't stop people from being people.
Yeah, I think the real determining factor, like you said, you know, at the end of the day, people are gonna kill each other. You know.
Oh no, there's plenty of them getting caught in Chicago. Like, that is not true. Like, there are plenty of people who are shooting people in Chicago that are getting caught. Like, you know, it's just that violence is still an issue in Chicago.
It is.
It's going down. Like, it's not as big of an issue as it has been before, but it is still an issue. And people that get caught there, and they are getting caught, they get punished and they go to jail. Like, they get punished for their crime. But stuff like this is an issue because there's a law in the state that's basically saying that you can just shoot somebody and kill them as long as you feel threatened. Like, that is a problem.
Yeah, you know, this I say you should bring it more to your home. You know, maybe you feel strongly about something, maybe you don't feel strongly about it. Maybe you just think that that's a point of concern that people don't talk about. I think there is a time to talk about everything. I do feel like that the idea is, if you were to personalize it, you know, if I personalize it, I don't think under any situation, if you were in the car, and let's say you were in your car with your mom or some shit, and she ran in the store to go do some shit, and she came out and somebody was trying to argue with you about anything, about the tint on your windows or some shit, or they just don't like, you know, the music you listen to, or the radio station you're listening to, and they're out there picking a fight with you, and your mama come out there and hit them with a newspaper, and they turn around and shoot your mama in the chest, and then they walk around free. I don't think you're gonna be worried about what's going on in Chicago. I don't think that's gonna matter to you. No. And that's why I say there is a clear difference between people killing each other. I mean, when you really get down to it, everybody of their own race kills themselves more than anybody else is going to kill their race. Yeah, I mean, because you're around your own race more often than anybody else.
Like, that's another thing that I think is hilarious when people try to people always bring up Chicago as just a deflection. That's all it is. Like most people that bring up Chicago, they don't actually care about what happens in Chicago. They're just using it as a deflection for anyone else that's talking about, anything else, particularly if it involves racism. They're like, well, what about the people killing people in Chicago? Black on black crime. It's like, well, if you want to talk about, just like you said, crime within a race, intra-racial crime is high in every race because you generally live around people of your own race. So, like, people are going to get killed way more often or have crimes committed against them way more often by people of their own race. So people want to bring up statistics like, oh, well, like, 90-something% of black people are killed by black people. Like, okay, well, 90-something% of white people are killed by white people as well. Like,
that's just how it is. I mean, if I'm in a neighborhood of, let's say, like Atlanta, you're going to probably have more black people committing more crimes against black folks because this is a place of high concentration of black people. Mm-hmm. Chicago, those areas are high concentrations of black people. However, if you go to, I'm just going to say Nebraska, where maybe there's a high concentration of white folks. The idea is, if we look at the statistics of Nebraska, the people that are committing the crimes against the other people, the white people, is going to be probably more often a white person. That's because that's probably what the population consists of in that area. I do understand that it is a point of contingency where it needs to be looked at and it needs to be addressed, and it gets addressed. I think with it being an ongoing problem, that, as Marty brought out, it's people that are doing stuff about it. You're not going to hear about things positive when the narrative is needing to continue to stay negative. How much do you expect to be done about people making bad decisions? Mm-hmm. You can't, like Marty said, you can't control that shit. I mean, if they really wanted to control it, they could go down there and patrol all that shit, and they could focus their departments, their police department down there. They could also contribute to having stuff for the community to do down there. If the city really cared about it, the city could go down there and invest in that portion of the community, and that problem probably would come to not a halt, because all crime is going to continue, but it would probably reduce drastically if they really wanted to stop it themselves. Yeah, it can't be done with just the idea of people who want it to be done, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of shit I want to be done that is not going to happen because I don't got the power to do it, regardless of how much I talk about it.
Yeah. Now I have to address Tola Heihachi. I'll have to apologize to him. He said he's actually from Chicago. That's why he brought it up. He's concerned about it. And so, since you actually, live there and you're concerned about it, I apologize for, lashing out like I did earlier. But I just want you and everyone else to understand, like, Chicago is used very often as a deflection tool, as, to just stop things from happening. And it's not like I don't want anything done about the violence in Chicago, because I do. But and like I said, some things are being done about it, but it is still a very high violence area, and I don't have a solution for that personally. Like I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stop a nigga from doing what a nigga's gonna do.
Yeah, but I mean, it is something that I'm concerned about, and I have been reading about and things like that. But I obviously don't live there, so I don't know the full extent of what is happening. But after talking to members of various like anti-violence groups and things like anti-gun groups and stuff, they're operating in Chicago. Like, I do know that they are doing some things like that are helping. Like I said, crime is going down overall in Chicago, but it is still a high crime, high violence area, and it's something that needs to be done about it. So, and
I understand that you want something to be done about it and to be talked about. And like I said, if you want to bring that up, we have Let's Talk Tuesday. Follow us on Let's Talk Tuesday. You can bring up some articles or maybe even just some points. We always looking for a topic.
Oh, always, yeah.
So even if they want that to be next week's topic, we can make it next week's topic.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, to Marty's point though, the idea of bringing that up as if it relates to what we're talking about, it don't relate to what we're talking about. If I talk about a fight between Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, don't come bringing up to me about World War II. It got nothing to do with it. They're both acts of violence, but one is a sport, one is not a sport. One has that we're talking about. We may be talking about something specific. In this particular topic, it's not so much just the gun violence as it is how a person is able to justify taking a life over getting pushed in a parking spot in an argument that you started, and then the laws not doing anything about it because he felt threatened.
Yeah, because he felt like he literally he literally went out and picked a fight with somebody, killed them, and then just gets to walk free because he felt threatened after he picked the fight. That is a big issue, and that has happened. Like I said, it's happened in multiple cases in Texas, multiple cases in South Carolina, and multiple cases in Florida. And those are like the three biggest states that have like the stand your ground or castle doctrine rule.
Yeah, and
castle doctrine law.
Yeah, and it's just like that. Really, it's like they take something that is meant for actual protection and leave it vague so that they can decide who they do not want to apply that law to. And that's what I was saying. Like, if that was two guys, if that was me and Marty in the streets duking it out, and then Marty pull a gun out and shoot me, Marty will probably go to jail.
Oh yeah.
And they'll probably chalk it up to gang violence. They'll chalk it up to disorderly conduct in the streets. They're probably not going to give him the benefit of the doubt that this here, it was just self-defense.
Yeah, and you're right. $12 Hiachi, castle doctrine, and stand your ground are two different laws. I'm not saying that they are the same law, but what I'm saying is that they have been used in very similar ways to each other. Like that's the reason why I brought them up together. Because castle doctrine has more restrictions on it than stand your ground, but they have both been used in very similar ways to kill people.
Yeah, it's it really just comes to like what are we doing with our laws, and how they're being applied. There shouldn't be a reason that a push should ever constitute
shooting somebody. Yeah, I 100% agree.
I mean, unless you're just of the mind that if somebody puts their hands on you, they deserve to die, no matter how it happens.
And really, you shouldn't be a person that's walking around.
Yeah, you probably don't need to be out in the streets. I'm sure.
Yeah, nobody needs to be discharging a gun in public. I agree with that too. $12 Hiachi. That's Just real quick, I just want to explain castle doctrine. Castle doctrine usually involves your property. So like, it essentially says that like your home is your castle, like type thing. Like, if there's anybody that comes on it that you don't want there, or like anybody like threatens your household and your way of life, like within your property, then you can, shoot them or use deadly force, whatever. Now, how I was saying that that was used in the same way as standing your ground to like justify killings or to kill people was there have been people like lured onto property. Like there have been like various cases where like they were technically like at their property, like on their property or whatever, and they killed somebody like in their car or something like that. So there's been various cases of it where it's been used in a similar fashion to kill somebody to stand your ground. Standing your ground is a lot more egregious. I agree with this guy. Like it's a lot more egregious because it's a lot more subjective than castle doctrine. Like a lot more. Like you can be anywhere with standing your ground. And you feel threatened, like you don't have to be anywhere near your property. You can just be like somewhere.
Yeah, just be out at public.
Just be out at public. So like at the supermarket, like these guys were, just blow somebody away. So yeah, I mean definitely like there are people of various races going down, the castle doctrine killings. I mean, I'm not just saying that only black people are being victimized of this. Stand your ground is definitely like more weighted against non-white people than castle doctrine, but once again, I just use that as an example because they have both been getting people killed in a very similar way.
Yeah, and I mean at the end of the day, we're trying to justify killing people for the most stupid reasons. For me, that is where my focal point is. I don't really care if this was a white dude. I'm just reporting on what the news is. We all know why the reason this is even the reason that we're hearing about this, because this probably happened more often than you really think. We're hearing about this because it was on videotape.
Yeah.
If this was a white dude shooting a white dude, it would still be just as stupid. If it was two black people shooting each other, it would be just as stupid. If it was a Mexican and a damn a dothead, it would still be just as stupid
as this case.
The idea is just, okay, this happens to be a black dude and a white dude. Now, there is some racial context to how it was dealt with and how it would be perceived. Because I'm pretty sure that, like I brought before, if it was somebody who actually had their life in danger, if it was two people actually fighting, and they were one dude was defending himself, he was getting swung on, and he pulled the gun out and shot somebody, the way we've seen stuff like that trickle down in our judicial system is, like somebody said in the chat, one nigga dead, one nigga in jail.
Yep.
And he's gonna have to make the case that it was self-defense. Whereas this guy, they was just like, oh, it was self-defense.
Yeah. Now look back at the Sandra Alexander case. I don't know if you knew about this one, Mike, but
not exactly sure.
Okay. This happened in Florida also. She tried to invoke stand your ground. She was in a relationship with an abusive husband, right? And she was separated from him. The husband came to her house, right? Mm-hmm. And it was documented, multiple police records saying that she has been getting beat up by this guy, right? So she thought that he came, and he came and was like threatening her and also, so like she thought her life was on the line. So she grabbed her pistol and fired a warning shot into the wall.
She shot into the air?
Yeah. Okay, well, she shot it into the wall near him.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And then she ended up having to serve time for that. And they wouldn't let her use stand your ground law. And because for what the judge said, the judge said, well, she had other options. She could have left the house or whatever, which makes no sense to me because I was like, well, it's her house. So if you're going to have this law, why couldn't she invoke it? She's at her own house. The guy comes to the house, is threatening her. She doesn't even shoot him. She fires a warning shot at him to get him to leave. And then she has to serve jail time.
Yeah, and that happened in Florida, right?
Yeah, she had to serve I think she ended up getting off, but they gave her 20 years for attempted murder or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, and
it was a crazy case.
That's a great parallel to what we're talking about. In that situation, why is it that her feeling threatened versus this dude's feeling threatened? Why are they any different? And that's what I'm saying. There's nothing specific enough in the law to state you have to be at this level of threatening to you know, you have to be at a certain level of threat in order to be able to pull out your gun and shoot somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, and the idea that the fact that she didn't shoot him got her jail time.
Yeah, like now what $12 Heihachi's is an example of, like, you know, staying your ground, stay so, you know, if you fire a warning shot and you weren't in any imminent danger or whatever because you weren't shooting to kill the person. And I mean honestly, staying your ground just works better if you kill the other person, because like I said before, the other person can't tell any side of their story whatsoever, so you get to completely control the narrative of what happened. And that is why that law is incredibly stupid.
And that's why we are talking about it now, you know, and not to keep beating a point, but this is why this got nothing to do with Chicago. You know, this is a stupid law that needs to be exposed for being stupid.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, the laws on the books in Chicago are if you shoot somebody, you're going to jail. It's pretty clear-cut law, you know. It makes sense.
Yeah. Now,
the amount of shooting that's going on, filling up the jail cells and the graves.
Yeah, and see, like, that's the crazy thing about Florida is, like, if it's ruled as self-defense by the cops or whatever, then you can't even be arrested for it. Like,
yeah,
that's the part that blows my mind. Even if you kill somebody in self-defense, right? Mm-hmm. Like let's say in Georgia you kill somebody in self-defense, you will still go to jail, and then they will hash that out, you know, with the evidence that they collect and the facts that they find, and like, okay, well, he shot him in self-defense, we can let him go or whatever because he was, you know, he just killed him in self-defense. In Florida, they can't even arrest you.
Won't even be able to arrest.
You don't even see a jail cell. You just get to leave.
He shot a nigga, stepped over the nigga, went and bought some bacon, and went home and cooked.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, went home and made himself bacon and eggs.
Licked his fingers, you know what I'm saying?
Like, that's crazy.
You know, and that's really where it comes down to it. You know, like I said, the specific detail in which we are paying attention to this is because it's just a dumbass law. It don't make no sense. And I mean, regardless of who it's used for, you know, it's just a law that, okay, when this guy comes by, and as Marty has said many a times, once you kill the motherfucker, you can make up whatever story you want to.
Exactly.
This happened to be on film, and, you know, I guess under the law, he was justified in his actions. Even though it was shown, and even the sheriff said, he made a pause. It wasn't like he was running up on him.
Yeah.
He pushed him, and he stood there. This motherfucker pulled the gun out.
And just shot him anyway.
He didn't warn him. He didn't say, listen, I got this gun, back the fuck up.
Yeah, he just shot him.
He just pulled the gun out. Oh, I was ready for this shit. I was born for this moment.
Born to do this.
Born for this moment. You know what I'm saying? This is all I wanted to do my whole life. I bought this 38
waiting to shoot somebody
for this reason.
At the range every day.
You know what I'm saying? Out there looking like Aaron Black on a fool. Took a nigga right down.
Oh my god.
No warning, you know. And that's where I guess I have my biggest issue with it is he wasn't even dashing towards you.
Yeah.
You know? That motherfucker, he went AFK. He went to the bathroom, and the next thing you know, he came back. Nigga was hitting him with an unblocker. Essentially, what's happening right there? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The idea that, you know, that was okay and slid. What about when I'm in Florida, I go to the local 7-Eleven, I fucking trip and bump into a nigga, he turn around and shoot me and say he thought I was going to try to rob him or that I was getting physical with him. You know, well, under what has happened here, somebody could argue that that's okay. I mean, he felt threatened.
Yeah.
There was bodily contact.
Yeah. As I said, this is how cops kill people all the time, and like, and they get away with it because they just say, oh well, he felt threatened. Like speaking of which, I think this happened in Chicago, if I remember correctly, but there's a really popular barber that got killed there recently, and people were furious about it. And all the police said is like, oh, well, he had the mannerisms of an armed individual. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, he didn't have a weapon on him.
But he was going like, you
Like that was
bang,
ridiculous.
Bang,
I was just like, this case makes no sense. Like, people should be mad about this. Like, and these comments, I just like 100% agree with, man. Like, this generation is just crazy with the way we deal with conflict and the amount of guns that people are just buying and, just stockpiling and collecting. Like, just people who are just obsessed with guns. Like, people who are just scared to deal with conflict in any other way than, oh, I'm going to pull this trigger because I'm scared of anything else happening. So I'm going to just shoot.
And I think what really... Y'all know how I am about context when it comes to context. I think really some of the laws they have in the proper context, they make sense. The idea that if I'm having to run away from some motherfuckers, or there's a gang of niggas trying to jump me, or there's like this big ass motherfucker who's definitely looking to pound my face in, and he's already physically getting at me, and I'm trying to get away, and then it's like, okay, well, fuck it, I can't retreat no more. It's time to blast this motherfucker. I think the part of the law that states that you don't have to retreat is what makes it so stupid, because it's like, he wasn't in a situation where he couldn't have got away. As far as we could tell, he could have stood up and, they could have continued their argument with distance between them. Yeah. And there wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah, and there wouldn't have been an issue. Like, I'm like 90, I'm like virtually 100% sure that there wouldn't have been an issue. The guy just got up and they continued their argument. I'm pretty sure that the guy that shoved him wouldn't have just like, ran up on him and tried to just like, keep hitting him or whatever. Like, he was probably just shoving away because he saw the guy yelling at his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. Getting in their face. That's why he shoved him.
And I mean, like I said, you gotta always internalize this stuff. If it was you in that situation, I don't think, like, maybe you wouldn't have pushed him. Maybe it would have been more rational than to push him. But you take somebody that you care about the most. Let's say some old black dude. You got a daughter, and some old black dude rolls up to your car, and he's cussing your daughter out. You don't know what there is that might trigger you. Whatever it is that might trigger you to act rashly at first with a rash decision of, maybe pushing a dude, whatever it is. I don't think there's any situation where you're trying to defend the honor of somebody you care about, and all you really do is make yourself known that you're not trying to hear that shit, that you'll think that it is reasonable for you to be shot. Yeah. If he didn't choke this man out, he didn't push him and jump on him. Yeah. He didn't even punch him. He didn't kick him.
He didn't even advance towards him after the push.
He didn't even advance towards him after the push. And that's the problem. It's like, okay, maybe if he was walking towards him, I have more leniency towards his judgment of shooting the dude.
Yeah, right? And then plus also the biggest thing, and we already pointed this out, but the biggest thing is like, this man has a history of going around threatening people with a gun, particularly over handicap. He was ready to shoot somebody, just like what was it, Revenant Tekken 7? Yeah, ready to kill somebody. He was ready to shoot somebody, and I just don't see how you can just say, well, I mean, okay, I see why the cop said it was, completely irrelevant, because,
I mean,
you want to protect that guy, but like, logically and realistically, you have to look at this person's behavioral history. So I just, it's just sad to see stuff like that happen, man. And then like some guy just got killed in Philadelphia recently. He was at a club protecting this black guy that was, getting called all these racial slurs, and people about to jump on him. He ended up getting shot trying to stand up for that guy. Like some white guy got shot trying to stand up for that white guy. And like, it's just like, people are just too quick to pull guns because that's the culture that we live in. Like, that's the culture that America has built. You know, just like the Wild West, where they just shot people over stupid stuff. You know, just shot people, you know, randomly or whatever. More folks were getting killed at that time than, you know.
I mean, I think the idea is, you know, there's like Hayachi made a good point. You know, there's a time and a place. If you want to have a gun in your house, you know, if it is for the purposes of protection, or, you know, I guess if you're a hunter, you know, and that's something you do for sport, those things I feel are like, if they're being used for the proper thing, I don't see nothing wrong with them. I mean, the idea is,
that's a lot of stuff.
You know, the idea is, how you can't control that shit.
Exactly.
You know,
you can't control people. Like,
you know,
you can't fully control people.
I don't know why there would ever be a reason to have a concealed carry law be available, because in your everyday situation, I guess you could get robbed, you know, and I guess you could use it as a deterrent. But there are a lot of things you can use it as a deterrent. You can use a pocket knife as a deterrent, especially in close quarters combat. I mean, the switchblade is going to be far more effective than a gun up close, because I could cut you without you even knowing I got a gun. I mean, without you knowing I got a switchblade, I could get you the fuck up out of there. I could cut your throat much quicker than I can aim and point a gun at you. And in certain situations, if you already got the gun drawn on me, I'm not gonna. This is not fuck. I'm not Clint Eastwood, okay? I'm not gonna pull my gun and shoot you faster than you're gonna shoot me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like the logic drawn beyond. You know, the logic drawn up is like, okay, yes, it is a considerable. It's considerable
deterrent,
that you might have the chance.
But then people just think that, like, you're going to be protected anyway. Even like okay, even if you had a gun on you, just like you said, somebody comes up on you and pulls a gun. That gun does nothing for you now.
It do nothing for you. I mean, I guess you could turn around and shoot a fool if they don't. But they don't shoot you for making quick movement.
Yeah, or like, I guess if you wait for like a lapse in their attention or something, then you're able to draw your gun. But like, realistically, if the person is not an idiot or not completely distracted, your gun is not going to do anything for you in that situation. Like, it's done. It's not going to do anything for you.
And if they turn around and run away and you shoot them in the back, guess what? You're not justified anymore.
Yeah.
So, really, your gun is almost useless at that point. You know, the idea is really, you know, we're too far gone for where guns are not going to be. You know, I can't perceive there being a time in my life, which, I mean, I guess it could happen, but I mean, there's as many guns in America as there are people, maybe more. You know, so you know, having a grand buyback, you know, getting all the guns.
It's not gonna work, and
nothing's gonna stop them from having it.
And see, like, it's unfortunate because when you talk to a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, well, there's no way, you know, a gun ban could ever work and stuff." And it's like, well, there's several countries that have it work, you know, like, but the problem is that, like, not that the gun ban wouldn't work, I guess, in theory, but just like you said, there's so many guns here that it would be impossible to get them.
And the people that are gonna do what they do is gonna break the law. The motherfuckers gonna break the law anyway. You know, so it's like making illegal immigration illegal. Niggas are still coming in. The niggas who gonna come in gonna come in. You know, you can't stop people from doing what the fuck they want to do. You can try to limit it.
Yeah. You can make a deterrent for it. But it doesn't mean that they won't do it.
Yeah, you know, and you know, at the end of the day, you know, really, what's more telling is the fact that basically, I mean, if we bring it down to what it really is, he killed somebody for pushing.
Yeah.
In your mind, is that justified or is it not justified?
Yeah. You know, that's a crazy reason to kill somebody.
That's really what it comes down to. Do you think it's okay to kill somebody because they pushed you?
Yeah.
You know, as far as we can see, we saw what happened. It didn't appear to me like that was going to go any further. Now, on one hand, you know what the laws are, and you know what, if you run up and push a nigga, you know he got the right to kill you. So I mean, we can't say that only one party should be to blame for what happened due to the nature of the rule. You know, my question is, should the rule exist? You know, should that even be the case? Or should it just be that, you know, listen, if you run up, and I'll even put it to you this way, what considers being threatened? I don't know that the law states it, because if she pulled the gun out and shot him for running up on the car, would we still, would she have got off for that?
I don't.
You know,
I personally don't think she would have. I personally think she would have been arrested.
I think she would have been arrested.
Yeah.
But I could say, you know, if I'm sitting in my car, somebody run up on my car, I felt threatened, and I shot the motherfucker before I realized what the fuck was going on. The tone seemed like they was getting wild, and so I blew their ass away. Mm-hmm. Like, the law either needs to have very concise margins.
Yeah.
Or it needs to be done away with.
Yeah, because I mean that's the reason why when you look at most laws, that's the reason why they're worded, you know, in such like, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, you know, such a lengthy fashion, because they make sure that they try to get every loophole that they can and make it like this concise situation, like this is what is going to happen if you do this. Like this is the only time that you can legally do this. And so like most laws are that way. Mm-hmm. But this one isn't, and it needs to be.
It needs to have more of a point of reference than some old obligatory bullshit popping off. You know, but you know, that's kind of where that line is drawn in that situation, man. You know, we could definitely talk about that one for a while.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
there's lots to it. There's lots to the history of why we are where we are with guns and violence in this country. Like, you know, is due to various things.
Various things. I mean,
there's so much we could talk about.
I just, you know, when it comes to my personal thoughts on it, I just don't think that the law applies in all situations. Probably doesn't even apply in situations that it should. You know, like I said, if I walked out of a club and somebody jumped on me, and then I tried to defend myself by scrapping with the motherfucker, and then people saw us scrapping, and then I shot him, I don't think that I'm going to get the benefit of the doubt that, oh, you know what, hey man, you shot him, going on home, man, play your PlayStation, kick up your stream, dog. You know what I'm saying? You shot him in self-defense, bro. You know, that's where I feel like what they're saying. You know, the racism aspect of it is, you know, if two hood niggas was going at it, one's going to jail. You know, at least charges are going to be brought up,
exactly.
Or he's at least going to have to get arrested.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest things for me. Is like,
even if they determine that it is self-defense, it's going to have to be proven, and there's going to have to be some investigation done before he is let go. In this situation, you know, Buddy just was let go. And I guess that's where, you know, the idea of the racial aspect of it comes into play. I don't think that if this was, okay, I'll give you the prime example where this would not stand. If that black dude was out there arguing with let's say a white dude in the car, and the white lady came out and, like I said, hit him with the newspaper, pushed him, she could have slapped the motherfucker. And then, you know, maybe he backed up and tripped up or some shit, and he's like, oh, you know what, this bitch might try to kill me. Pulled the gun and shot her.
Yeah, shot her, yeah.
Now, you may say to yourself, well, that was a woman. There's no way he felt his life was in danger. But it's a fucking person. I don't know what the fuck was about to happen.
Yeah, it's like, well,
she might have pulled something out of her purse. I ain't give her the chance to do it. I blew her ass away. Mm-hmm. Now, you think he gonna get off like that? I don't think it's gonna go down like that. I just don't perceive a situation happening like that. It very well could, But I don't think that would be the case.
Now, the main issue has been brought up in the chat, which is the main issue for most crime in the world, and that's poverty.
Of course,
crime is always linked to poverty. Like
always,
it's never linked to race. It's never linked to creed, religion. Like it's linked generally to poverty. And if you give more economic opportunities for people in neighborhoods and in countries and stuff, you won't have the need for a lot of crime. Like most places that have like really low crime rates, they have two things in common. One, they have a gun ban, and two, they have more economic opportunities per capita for their population than most other places in the world. So those are like the two major things that they have in common with each other.
Most definitely.
And like, if you solve the poverty and greed issue in the United States, you would see crime drop dramatically. You would still have some crime because you're always going to have some crime.
Yep, you just got some people that it's going to be.
You're always going to have some crime. You can't stop that. But it would go down to a very, very low level if we had more things in place to take care of citizens in the U.S. But we don't, because socialism is a really evil word in the United States, and so you can't set up social programs to help people because, that's evil and you're a leech depending on the government at this point. When most other countries, that's how they view their government. The government is supposed to take care of someone. I was talking to a friend of mine. She lives in Tokyo, and she was telling me that she's like, Marty, I was telling my parents about some of the stuff that you talk about happening in the United States, and how the U.S. doesn't have single payer health care, like any kind of benefits like that. And her parents were just confused. They were just like, but that's what a government's supposed to do. So if the government's not doing that, then what are they doing? And I'm like, mostly money laundering.
Dropping bombs on them.
And dropping bombs on people and stealing resources from
Who drop a bomb on them?
So, but yeah, I said all that just to say this is like, that's a big reason why nations like Japan and like Sweden and stuff like that. It's like why these places have these low crime rates. So that's because their governments focus more on taking care of their citizens than money laundering and dropping bombs on people.
Yeah.
And that is probably the biggest problem, probably the biggest cause for a lot of the problems that we have is simply poverty and greed.
Yeah, that's really what. Outside of unstable people, when I say unstable, I mean unstable mentally. Really, you think really most of your killings, they're happening because somebody wants some money. They're trying to either survive by robbing because they ain't got no job or can't get a job due to whatever the situation might be, or people are fighting each other because of lack of resource. All of these things are definitely things that we in our community, particularly the black community, it's something that unfortunately we are almost always in that situation in major cities and urban development.
Oh, that's an easy explanation.
Yeah.
When
we know what time that was.
Yeah, when a country has been hell bent on making sure that everyone of your race is kept down at a lower economic level than everyone else for hundreds of years, and then you finally get equal rights as citizens 54 years ago, and then people expect you to not be poor anymore. It's just like, you white people have had generations of being able to build wealth and pass it to your family and stuff like that, where we didn't really have that opportunity, as black people. Every generation was just starting over for the most part. Obviously you have your exceptions, but
you do.
I mean, that's generally what was happening. So it just amazes me that like sometimes people think that like
they gave you rights and a check. I don't think the check came yet.
No, right? Like you know, the whole 40 acres and a mule thing never really happened. So.
Yeah, you know, I put it to you this way: you have a kid, you keep them under your thumb for 18 years. If you just put them out the house and tell them they can do whatever they're as free as you are, and you don't give them you don't give them an opportunity, or you don't have a passage by which they can be successful. You just throw them out to the wolves. I mean, yeah, a person can thrive in that situation. People do thrive in that situation. Some people make a way. But I don't think the general outcome of that is going to be highly successful people. Probably the general outcome of that is going to be more unsuccessful people than successful people. Because once you start with little to nothing, or once, you know, we talked about it before with the the Black Wall Street situation, where it's like once people even started doing it, fools made sure that shit got shut down. You know, so you know, it's not a collective. And this is where I think a lot of people in the race situation, as we often talk about it, you know, this is where it really gets to people, because nobody wants to be looked at as being the problem, right? And you're not the problem. If you're in this chat, you are following along with us, you probably got a pretty decent civil attitude about things in life. You know, you aren't particularly the problem, but the problem has stemmed from something that you got no control over. So when we say something like, okay, well, you know what, we may mention like white people. Well, it's a generalization of a problem of those who were in power at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
that's not
every white person is the problem.
Every white person, you know, Abstract didn't fuck around and goddamn put me under his thumb, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we're not talking about people in specific, and I think that people internalize that when they hear it. It's just like it happens to us, you know, when we hear, you know, a white guy say, you know, oh man, black people are lazy. He may be speaking in general terms, but I'm gonna take that to heart because I'm a fucking black person. What do you mean black people are lazy? I ain't fucking lazy. Now, obviously the context is completely different for what those two statements are.
Yeah, and I may have talked about this before, but like expanding on that, there's a reason why the generalization of white people, you know, is completely different from a generalization of black people. Because like white people have spent countless years smearing the image of the black person in society, and it's in a society where they control all the socioeconomic outlets, you know, such as like banking and housing and all that stuff like that. So if there's a generalization out there that, you know, oh, black people are lazy and they don't want to work. Well, if white people own the majority of the businesses and black people are living in a country trying to go get a job, then, well, if this constant stigma that all black people are lazy is out there, then these white people aren't going to hire black people. It's like, oh, well, I don't want lazy people on thing, you know, I don't want lazy people in my workplace. Now, putting that same generalization on white people in our current society, it wouldn't do anything. Because, like, white people aren't going to stop hiring white people.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, man, we ain't lazy. That's just some bullshit.
Exactly. So, like,
we looked at it as bullshit.
Yeah, so people have to understand the social dynamic that is going on when you're talking about generalizing races and stuff, particularly in the United States.
Hell, I mean, generalization of anything, really.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll give it to you in more relatable terms. When us dudes talk about chicks being crazy, obviously we know what we mean by that shit. And when a chick does something, you know, we chalk it up to she was crazy. A woman chalks that up to, you know, oh, we're not crazy, you know, we're just expressing ourselves. They can relate to those things, you know. So to them, us saying that women are crazy is like almost making a derogatory statement about their character and their personalities as a whole. When in actuality, we know what we're describing.
Yeah.
And you know, they know what their intent is behind what they're doing. But that's kind of the same situation. It's kind of like, you know, one group just is not going, they're going to have their view of another group. The problem comes into play when it really affects what the other group can do. Mm-hmm. You know.
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to tell you what. Us thinking that a chick is crazy is not going to stop a chick from being able to get draws. Or get somebody's money. Or get a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, she can be crazy as fuck. We'll still get them draws, you know what I'm saying? She can still get her some dick if she wants some. You know, if she want to find her a dude, she can still find her a dude. It ain't going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. However, if, like Marty said, if the word on the street is, you know, we got 10 bosses and 9 out of 10 of them is white guys, and the black guy's job can't really, he only got small business, so he can only hire so many black people. And let's say, oh, okay, well, the white guys be like, oh, well, you know, I don't know, man, them goddamn black people, boy. Mm-hmm. They ain't gonna be working hard, you know what I'm saying? They only gonna be at this motherfucker late. You know, they got that, what they call it, the color people time. I need them to be on my time, you know? And, you know, if that's just a going notion, you know, while it could be very true about some people, you know, I know some lazy niggas, you know?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But I also know a whole bunch of lazy white folks out there.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of lazy Asian people. Like, I know a lot of lazy Spanish people. I know a lot of lazy people.
Yeah, just a lot of lazy people. But if the connotation is not attached to them, then, you know, he's gonna be like, man, I can't be hiring them goddamn niggas, man. He might not even be like, he might not even be racist. He might just be like, you know, I was always taught that, you know, black people are just, their work ethic is not that of maybe an Asian race. So if an Asian dude comes and a black guy comes, I gotta meet my minority quota anyway. Let me get this Asian guy, because he's probably gonna work harder. Now, there's nothing but a prejudice, which is going to lead to our next topic. But there's really only a prejudice that is there because you don't know nothing about that person. That might be the hardest working motherfucker. John Henry was black. That motherfucker was working. You know what I'm saying? He got them railroads built. You know what I mean? Look at your boy Pecos Bill. This motherfucker wasn't doing shit. He was riding a goddamn tornado, causing havoc. You know what I'm saying? He basically was a drunk. You know what I'm saying? And really, that's what I'm saying. When it comes down to it, you know, that's the only reason that these things have the weight that they have, because we're in a situation where it does matter what the masses think about you. And, you know, if you have 13% being judged by, I don't know what the white amount is.
It's anywhere from 74 to 76%, something in that area.
Okay, so let's say, 74 to 76% judging the 13%. I mean, bro, unless you're an extraordinary person out of that 13% and you're able to make it on your own and become a part of the hiring class, you're stuck trying to prove yourself to some people who already think the worst of you.
Yep.
And you know that there's no way you can slice that to be like, hey man, well, you just gotta work hard and prove it. No, I shouldn't have to prove that I'm as good as a person that you're giving the benefit of the doubt who is worse than me.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, that's just really where that comes from. But speaking of that prejudice, you know, we got this next topic that it was an interesting topic, you know.
It was very.
It was a topic brought up. Marty found this one on Facebook, and I guess the question was posed: preference and prejudice.
The
question I pose is, how different are they?
Yeah.
Are they different? Are they the same? And if they are different, where's the line of demarcation that separates them?
Now how this got started was, you know, some people, I was talking to some people on Facebook, and they basically we were talking about the question, if you use race as a predeterminant factor as to whether you're going to date somebody or not, is that simply preference or is it a racial prejudice? Now, most of the people on the thread were saying, oh, it's just a preference or whatever. I disagree with that. I think it's 100% racial prejudice. Like, using someone's race as a predeterminant factor of whether you're going to date them or not, like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, so you mean to tell me that you're going to, someone's personality or, the way someone, whatever, like, the qualities that you look for in someone that you're going to date, and then you're not going to date them because they're Chinese or because they're black or because they're, Indian or Pakistani or, Mexican or white or whatever. Like, you're just not going to date them simply because they're that race. Like, I think that is crazy and it's 100% racial prejudice. But yeah, most of the people in the thread were talking about it was just preference, and there's a lot of history behind why a lot of these people think the way that they think about why it's just a preference.
No, we didn't have this particular one, Panther, because this one is this is more along the philosophical lines of, like, the question I'm asking is, like, is there really a difference between having preference and prejudice? And is all prejudice bad? We got a lot of comments today on the on Twitter. I brought this up. I'm gonna try to read through a few of them. I appreciate everybody that commented today. Much thanks out to the following people. We had the thread was really jumping, actually. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick. Give y'all some of the stuff I ran across. Alright, so one person said there's it's coming from a Miss Amesty's lady. Shout out to the girl Amesty's lady. Holla at you, homie. She said there's nothing wrong with having preferences in who you decide to date or to be in a relationship with. Simply because having a preference doesn't harm anyone. Usually that is based on who you find more attractive, which you have no real control over at the end of the day. I argue that, some argue having preferences discredits the value of those not fitting that mold, whether it be race, gender, social status, etc. Do you feel that there's a preference do you feel that preference has an irrefutable link to exclusion? To which Gapster Niner, I don't even never know how to, girl, you gotta change your name, okay? I don't know how to pronounce your damn name.
I know, right?
But she brought up, she said, Amesty's lady said it best. Having a preference towards one is not hating other options. Whoever said so is fake activist or some type of person like that. So then I asked the next question, because I like to get in the line a lot,
Of course.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe a better question is, do you feel, where do you feel the line is drawn? And I feel like nobody answered this question throughout the whole thread. I think a lot of people tiptoed around it, but for me, I really want to know, like, where are you crossing into prejudice? Or are they something that are intrinsically bonded to each other? Or are they continually on the inverse sides of each other? Like, are you able to have preference and not be prejudiced? Or does preference automatically equate preference? I mean, does preference automatically equate to prejudice? And I think really what most of this boiled down to was pretty much people saying, it's cool to have a preference, it's not cool to be prejudiced. So we have to define our terms here.
Yes, we do.
Alright, so when we look at the term prejudice, right? What we're using as far as prejudice is basically making a preconceived notion or having a preconceived notion about something without experiencing or without experience or being ignorant. Now, for me personally, I feel like prejudice and preference is the same thing, excluding one very particular and important thing. I feel like preference, you cannot have preference without experience. Where prejudice comes from lack of experience. So, to me, to have prejudice, I think there's just a negative connotation to the word, but I don't think that having prejudice is necessarily bad, because all it really is just your lack of inexperience.
Yeah.
I think what is really the determining factor of your preference or prejudice is how you use the preference and prejudice to go throughout life making your decisions. If I brought up a point because they kept bringing up like, oh, you know, it's okay to have these preferences, but prejudice is just not a thing that you should be rocking with. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm a straight man, you know. I love the pussy, you know. What about if a gay dude walks up to me and he wants to date me, or like a trans woman wants to date me? I've never been with a trans woman or a gay man in a relationship, so technically I have a prejudice towards being with a trans woman or a gay man. Technically, using the terms that we are agreeing to use, is that a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? Is that really a horrible thing? And if it isn't, then, you know, are you stating that prejudice is just something that exists and is not necessarily bad or good? It's just something that exists. Or is that just a preference? You know, where is the line really drawn? Do I just prefer women? I just prefer to date women? You know, that's why I say that the experience draws the line for me. But Marty, you can give us where you feel the line is drawn.
I think the line being drawn at, you know, ignorance versus experience is a good one. Because when you break down the word prejudice, like, you are judging something preemptively, like, you know, without having any real experience towards it or anything like that. So, you know, racial prejudice, I agree with you. It has, you know, an automatic negative connotation simply because of the history of our nation and, you know, where it has gone involving racial prejudice and stuff like that. And like now it's not like openly socially acceptable to be, you know, racially prejudiced towards anyone. But so far as like the original argument of this is like using race as a predetermined factor of whether you're going to date someone or not. Like, I feel is 100% racial prejudice, and then this is the reason why. Like, this form of racism and racial prejudice is so ingrained into our society. Like, anyone with darker skin or whatever is, you know, they used to be just straight demonized and like in some religions considered like cursed people, like in the Mormon faith, stuff like that. And this stuff has been so ingrained for so many years in society that, like, you know, people look at people with darker skin and immediately have a negative feeling towards them a lot of times. I'm not saying that everyone is completely, you know, controlled by, you know, this subconscious impulse or anything like that. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but I do think that it affects how a lot of people see the world and how a lot of people see other people. Now, using myself as an example, I was raised for the most part in a community where I was around a lot of people of various nationalities, various ethnicities. And I've dated a lot of women of various ethnicities. So for me, like, I've never really ever considered someone's race when I chose to date them. Like, the only time that I ever did was when I was like about to go to high school, and my father was warning me about dating white girls. And I was like, well, what is the big deal? And then, he explained to me a lot of like, history and
the social ramifications.
Yeah, exactly. And the social ramifications of it. And, which is understandable because my father grew up here in Georgia. He grew up in Athens, Georgia, was born in the 50s, and for a lot of times, like, he had never even really interacted with white people at all. He lived in an all-black neighborhood, like, all-black school, all that stuff, until, segregation was stopped, and then, schools are integrated. And so it's fascinating to talk to him sometimes because he can just tell me about life then, and this isn't that long ago. Like, that's the crazy part about it. It's not like I'm talking to even like my grandfather or like reading papers from my great grandfather, great grandfather. This is my father. This is one generation back that's telling me that he couldn't go into certain places because they would tell him to get out because they didn't serve niggas.
You had a daddy in the house?
Yeah, man. This guy.
I knew this nigga was too good.
So like, basically, when you're going to use someone's race as a predeterminant to date, like, you have to have some kind of reason that you're not gonna date someone of this race. Like, there are a lot of times that people don't like to articulate why they like things or why they dislike things, which is one of the biggest pet peeves of mine of all time. Like, I hate that so much.
You need to know why you got thoughts in your head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So like, you have to feel some type of way about some race as to like why you won't date them. It's not just like, oh, this is just what I prefer. Like, no, like there has to be a there has to be a reason. Like, if somebody is nice and they have all these qualities that you're looking for, but then you're not going to date them because there's some other race. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's that is a clear prejudice against races besides the one that you say that you prefer. And
in Gucci Gang, that may be a case. It may be a clash of culture. But if you're not expounding on the fact that, I mean, we all know if you have been around different races, there is a difference between, the culture of black people versus the culture of Hispanic people versus the culture of Asian people, and white people. There's definitely a difference, and depending on how deeply rooted you are in your culture, I could understand why that may be a part of your selective process. And I mean, yeah, what if you just feel like, I know that I feel like Hispanic people like to party, and I don't want no partying. I ain't no partying ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that shit. I want to be having a dull ass life. I don't want to be eating no fucking sriracha. I want more than cheese and tacos. Fuck that shit. I'm not fucking with no Latin women. Now, are you correct? No. But at least you're expounding upon your point, and you can't just argue. And it's still going to be a racial bias.
Oh, of course.
If you're making your AFEC, appreciate you coming through, homie. You're still having a prejudice because at the end of the day, that's only what you know because you're not a part of it. Because you haven't experienced it.
Yeah. Which expounds on your point about experience versus ignorance.
Yeah. So that definitely is where I feel like that's whenever I put two situations together, and I try to add the preference over the prejudice. I mean, it just comes down to experience. I mean, really, I think I will probably continue to have my preference of my prejudice of dating women. Now that's where the question comes in. Now that is
different, but
but that comes into the play where, I mean, I also don't believe all prejudice is bad.
Yeah.
I just think prejudice is a consequence of being a human.
Yeah.
Some shit you just not gonna experience, and you're gonna have a thought about it, but you ain't gonna experience. I never played I never played the latest Halo. I don't really think I like the game. I think it looks kind of strange, you know. Okay. I don't know why people want to play that shit. It looks crazy. Now, I've never experienced it. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I would enjoy the fuck out that shit.
Yeah.
But I just got a certain prejudice to it as far as until I just choose to go and experience what that game is like. Mm-hmm. You know, fuck it. That's just the consequence of living. There's a lot of shit I don't have an idea about because I ain't experienced it that I have a opinion on.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's definitely something that I think if we put proper context to things instead of assigning connotation just because we want to, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, critical thinking is key.
That's the word of the day, you know. That's the word of this goddamn show is critical thinking. You know, that's the phrase that we live by around this motherfucker.
Now, I want to expand a bit further, and you know, particularly, I know I talked with Iceman several times about it, and a few other people, but like, you know, I was particularly upset when, you know, I saw some people, particularly black people, talking about like, you know, they just wanted to date light-skinned girls, and, you know, didn't really like girls that were dark-skinned, and it all goes back to slavery mentality again. And I know people get tired of this and feel like it's a cop-out to constantly go back this time, but there's so much that slavery made as a foundation for how things are working in current society that you can't help but to go back and look at it as a reference in order to see what people are thinking today. And it's like, that was the whole like house Negro versus field Negro thing. Like, you know, that was a colorism thing that was implemented.
Don't hate because I'm in the AC, bro.
But you know, that was implemented by slave owners in order to create a division within the slaves. It's like they treated the people with lighter skin better than they did, you know, the people with darker skin. And it created that whole thing. And you see it in a lot of communities still, of people not liking people who are light skinned, or like light skinned people not liking people who are dark skinned, and et cetera. Like you see it throughout the world. I mean, one of the most racist commercials I've ever seen came out of China. It was a laundry detergent commercial. And I don't know if I ever told you about it.
Oh, is this the one where they washed the person? And then
they washed the black guy and they washed him clean into a Chinese person. Like, it was the most ridiculously racist commercial I've ever seen.
Oh man, I love racism.
But and I was just like, this is ridiculous. But you know, they view people like they view darker skinned people like that, and particularly black people, because of the smear job that white people have done on black people over the years, so far as like portraying them negatively in world media and stuff like that. Because, you know, expanding more on your point, a lot of that stuff comes from ignorance. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't particularly have a lot of experience with black people in like China and Korea and stuff like that. They love black people's culture, like jazz and hip hop and like, you know, all the like, you know, street clothes and stuff like that. Don't like black people too much. And to expand on that, I'll give you like a personal anecdote. This guy I know named John. We were close friends for a while. I haven't really talked to him that much lately. But you know, this is when I was still playing Smash Melee, and he was holding a thing at his house, and he wanted me to come through. So I was like, okay, cool. And you know, John is a Korean guy, and so I go over there, and when I got to the door, his parents answered the door, and they were terrified. Like I literally could see the fear in their eyes. All right, and you know, I go in, I introduce myself, ask them how they're doing and stuff, and like, you know, I talk to them throughout the night, and I kind of get them to warm up to me or whatever. And, you know, we start talking and, you know, having a good time and all that stuff. And then later on, John comes to me. He's like, hey, Marty, just want to let you know, my parents really enjoyed, you know, talking to you the other night, and they really enjoyed meeting you. And they were really surprised, actually. And I was like, surprised how? And they're like, well, you know, you answer the door and, like, you know, this big black guy and you have all this hair, your afro, and, like, also they thought you were, like, some kind of dude off the street or some, like, you know, thug or drug dealer or something, you know, but you know, you got to talk to you and realize, you know, you're a good guy, you're a college-educated guy, you know, just trying to work your way through life and all that stuff, and, you know, they really appreciated talking to you. And, you know, that's you know, that's one of the biggest examples, personally, for me, that I could ever think of, because it just happened to me. Like, you know, they didn't necessarily, like, hate me when I came to the door. Like, they were terrified. They had all these crazy stereotypes in their head about, like, what black people do and all this stuff. But once I got to talk to them or whatever, they were just like, hey, this guy's all right. He's just, you know, a guy trying to make it in life, you know, trying to work his way through life. He's a nice guy, and he's friends with my son and all that stuff. And so everything was, like, you know, cool. But you know, those are only a couple people. And, you know, I say all that just to say that prejudice is not that far off from preference, but realizing the difference is key. Mm-hmm. And critically thinking about it is very key. And I'm sorry I can't see your comments anymore. My phone has died. So if you are saying anything personally to me or anything, I cannot see it.
No, so you can use it.
But, okay. And I also cannot respond to anything. Oh, never mind. Mike's gonna hook me up with the phone. All right.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, generally, like I say, you know, when people, I guess, you know, I always tell y'all, I'm all about.
Thanks, Jay Dickel. I appreciate it, man.
When it comes down to it, I think people really. I practice empathy. That's what I always have done. You know what I'm saying? That's my deal. Most people don't. You know, it's just most people ain't got time for empathy. They worried about what they got going on. I think empathy is probably one of the reasons. It's probably the catalyst to my ability to reason so well, to think critically, because you know I grew up in Orlando. I'm a Florida nigga. You know what I'm saying? I could have shot you if you pushed me. You know what I'm saying? But I moved to Georgia. Now I can only shoot you when you come in my house.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, when it comes down to it, I grew up in a hood area that was, we're gonna say, very meager, as they would say in Coming to America. Very meager.
Very meager means.
Yeah. I went to school on the other side of town, you know, so my experience in school was shitload of white folks and me being like, I guess it was kind of mixed. It was kind of mixed. So it wasn't, it might have been like 60-40 mix, and then, you know, maybe like a 60-39 mix, 1% other, you know. You know, so my experience has been like, you know, I've been around different races. Of course, at that time I was so young, it didn't really matter what the fuck was going on. Mm-hmm. You know, I was fucking elementary school. You know, I just like, I liked the chick. I just knew I was liking pussy. You know what I'm saying? I told you, I got my first piece in kindergarten. Really, you know, that's where I got my first action. But, you know, nonetheless, you know, it just, at that point in time, race really didn't even matter. I was a Jehovah's Witness in my Kingdom Hall that we went to. It was half, you know, it was like white, black, Hispanic. It was any and every type of nationality, or not nationality, each and every type of race was there, you know. And it was like, oh, well, we're all here for a same common goals. People invite each other to their house. They go out and hang out with each other. Yeah. So I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where I've seen people of different races, people of different social standings. I've seen all these people mixed together, and you know, it's not been a problem whatsoever. I moved here to Georgia. It's completely the opposite. You know, here in Georgia, it's like I ain't never seen this many black people ever in one area.
You had like the opposite experience of me.
Yeah, like I ain't never seen this many niggas ever. I'm seeing niggas in high profile living. You know, where I live, the black folks all lived in the hood. You had a sprinkle like here and there. There might have been a black person with that was what you consider well off or just middle class. You know, everybody I knew, it was like the whole half of the city of Orlando, it was niggas, and it was very meager. You know what I'm saying? The only, like, even the malls on our side were trash. You know, we only had flea markets. Magic Mall, I remember Magic Mall. The shit was a fucking flea market. Shit had a top hat and a damn wand and some gloves as the damn as the store sign. You know what I'm saying? That shit was trash. But nonetheless, you know, oh Silk, what's going on with you, homie? Nonetheless, you know, it's kind of like coming here was like a culture shock, but different, as I was not used to seeing, you know, prolific black people. You know what I'm saying? I was not used to going to like Cascade Road. You know, having a friend that lived in Cascade. Yeah. I was like, damn, these houses big as a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? When I first moved here, I lived off Cleveland Avenue in an apartment. You know, so I was still living not in the best situation. Yeah. But it was kind of like, damn, niggas is living good out here. God damn. I was still a kid in the Kingdom Hall at the time, and it was kind of like, damn, it ain't nothing but niggas in this motherfucker. It ain't not one white person in here. What the fuck going on here? I'm so used to it being so mixed and everything being a mixed crowd. That came in, I was like, man, this shit look like a damn slave ship. But the slaves is,
wow.
You know, but the slaves is rocking. You know what I'm saying? They on a carnival slave ship. You know, these motherfuckers partying and shit.
Man, like that's the complete opposite of my experience. Like, I came from a neighborhood in North Carolina, a town called Cary. It was like right outside of Raleigh and Research Triangle Park. And the neighborhood I lived in was, I guess, it's kind of unique because it was like, we had a mix of like every ethnicity in there, like Asian people, Middle Eastern people, you know, white people, black people, Hispanic people. I just had like everybody in the neighborhood, right? So I was used to like being around and seeing everybody, right? And then I moved to Kennesaw, Georgia, in Cobb County. And I was like, why are there only white people in this place? Like, this makes no sense. Like, I moved out to Kennesaw, and I was just like, there's nothing but white people. There was nothing but white people in my neighborhood, like, nothing but white people in school. Like, it was wild. And for me, it was a bad experience. I experienced a lot of racism when I came to Georgia. And made my childhood kind of difficult here. I still, to this day, I kind of wish I had stayed in North Carolina, but didn't have a choice in that matter. So, but I mean, I also wouldn't be the person that I am today, I think, if I hadn't experienced all that stuff. And so, you know, I can never take that for granted. And, you know, I wouldn't have met the people that I met. I wouldn't be doing this show.
Hey, man, you know, you wouldn't be in the realm of the real. Bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the realm of the real.
You might still be in the realm of the real, though, you know. We reaching out. We touching all lives.
True. But, I mean, you know, there's just a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have been able to experience and stuff had I stayed in North Carolina in the neighborhood that I was in. And so, I mean, I grew a lot as a person, being able to come here and experience all that stuff, no matter how hard it was as a kid to face all of that. Because I definitely grew into the person that I am. I definitely was not as strong and resolute of a person, you know, when I was a child as I am now. So a lot of that stuff really bothered me when I was a kid. So I had an opposite experience with you. Like, you came here and saw nothing but black people. Yeah. I came here and saw nothing but white people.
Hey, he was on the other side of 20, yo.
Yeah. Like Cobb County is like, especially like the Kennesaw, Ackworth area. White folks.
Nothing but the white folks. Like, I don't even want to drive up there too much. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's funny how that is, because it's like, you know, even coming from my background, living in a situation like this, it gives me a whole nother perspective on how people can be. You know, like, I wouldn't even think about fucking racism in Florida. You know, we used to think about fucking Disney World. You know what I'm saying? We used to think of it's a small world after all. You know what I'm saying? Niggas was. What I will say this is, I did recognize living in Florida, like the train tracks, and I always tell people it was the most ironic thing. The train tracks ran along Division Ave, and that's the determining factor of what side the white folks lived on and what side the black people lived on. Mm-hmm. I think it's still like that even to this day. I mean, it's probably a little bit more mixed down there now. It's just because time has went by, and you know, people are migrating to different places. Yeah. And I think that city is starting to like trying to.
All right, Reverend. Take care, man.
All right, homie. You know, so I think, you know, some things are changing about it, but you know, outside of knowing that there was like a noticeable ethnic difference between one side of train tracks and the other side, the people themselves, there wasn't like a whole lot of situations I came across where, you know, the white folks were treating the black folks any type of way. Like any situation I was in where it was white folks and black folks, the motherfuckers was acting like brothers and sisters to each other. You know, and that could have just been because, you know, the way the religion is set up, and you know, the way the school was set up, it just happened to be a very good mesh of cultures. Yeah. On the flip side, you know, my brother, he went to school only on our side of town. You know, Jones High School. He had the high top, low left. You know what I'm saying? And it was, you know, his experience was like, you know, he only delved in the hood shit. You know, which is so backwards, because me and my brother are completely the opposite. My brother, black as fuck. Okay, he definitely would have been in the fields. All right, he actually looked like he might have worked in the fields. And then what's going on, Batman? You got me, you know, where I'm probably the more rancid person of the family, you know, out of our immediate. Well, between me and him, I'm the rancid one, and he's the well refrigerated milk. You know what I'm saying? He's a wholesome type guy. Okay. I don't even know anything bad my brother's ever been done. You know, I can honestly say my brother has all my good qualities, none of my bad qualities. Which is why I love my brother to death. But it's just so funny, like, you would think I would be him, being that the people in the situation I grew up in versus what he grew up in. He grew up in the shits, you know what I'm saying? Like, I lived in the shit, so I experienced the shits, but my experience wasn't the shits.
Sometimes that resolves people into wanting to move outside of their current status quo. Like, I know that's what happened with my dad. Like, you know, Athens is, I mean, there's nothing going there, and there's nothing going on there. And, you know, my father grew up there, dirt poor, and, you know, all that stuff, you know, and then he wanted out. You know, he wanted to get out, and he did. And, you know, so sometimes, you know, people don't, you know, just become one with their environment. Sometimes they get inspired to move out of their environment.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to, you know, that's just what it comes down to when it comes to people, and that's why we have these discussions, because we all know, any person of sanity knows that there are different pockets in which all of these topics touch people differently. You know, there's always some what's the word I want to use? I was about to say mitochondrians. That shit definitely is not even nowhere near the word I'm trying to use.
Mitochondrian, like the Star Wars back?
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know why this is coming to my brain.
What?
Like, that's not what I'm trying to talk about. But we know everything has its variances. And so, I know, like, when you hear us talk, like I said, in general, we know that there's definitely spaces and pockets that develop people differently. And not all situations touch everybody the same. But in a general sense, you know, these are all things we need to think about, because we don't want to live life off the exceptions. The exceptions are not, they are the standouts, you know, they're not what the norm is. No, not ethnic conclave. No, it was it's a different word I was trying to think to use, but fuck it, I'm already past it. Fuck it.
But
I'll bring it back next show.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just that, like, you know, people really need to think about, you know, and it's kind of frustrating because I doubt that I am going to get through to any of the people that I talk to. Like, you know, people are really stubborn in that way where, you know, they're not going to want to even think about reconsidering, you know, what they were thinking about. And, you know, I just want to say that when you say stuff like, oh, I want to, you know, I don't want to be with this person, or like, I don't want to do this certain thing, or whatever. It's like, oh, it's just my preference. Like, really think about if that's just like a preference you have because you've had experience in that, or just like,
that's what you heard about.
Huh?
That's what you heard about.
Yeah, it's like that's what you heard about. You know, for example, using myself again as an example, the worst relationship I've ever been in was with a black woman. Like, it was awful, like, absolutely awful. She constantly accused me of things, and, you know, thought I was out cheating when I was out working, and all that. So, you know, I didn't stand for it long. Like, I ended up, you know, breaking up. But I mean, that did not deter me from being like, oh, I never want to date a black woman ever again. Like, it didn't even change my preference, because I don't, you know, once again, I think using race as a preference, using race as a preference or predetermined, again, is weird to me. Like, someone's race shouldn't even come into, like, whether you want to get to know somebody or not. It's weird. Like, I don't.
And I mean, I think the idea, like, another thing that, you know, is to be considered. Your attraction to somebody, or attraction to a certain thing, while it can be something that is socialized, and most often is, because, believe it or not, the perception of what beauty is not the same everywhere, you know.
Oh, definitely.
Some places think a big old fat chick is the finest thing you could have, you know. Other places think you need to look like a damn pool stick for you to really be attractive. So it's not like we inherently have a desired type, really. We've all been socialized into whatever type we desire. Believe it or not, you didn't just like fat asses. It's not just a black thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's because, as a black person, fat asses have been promoted to you, and so over time, the accentuation of the ass has become more and more glorified, and subconsciously, you may feel like you've always been attracted to big old asses, but you've probably just been socialized into that. White dudes tend to like big tits. It's not because they don't like ass, but that's what's been socialized to them. They like a slim chick that's, you know, with some big tits. Now, I personally feel like I don't like thick white chicks, you know, not because they don't look good, but I just feel like I don't like the way their skin look pink and patchy and shit. Like, it looked like somebody beat their ass when they, you know what I'm saying? Like, man. Oh, you know, I feel like really to be serious, to be 100% serious,
man.
Right? To be 100% serious. I feel like there are certain qualities that just don't look good on certain people. You know, like a big wide nose just might not look good on a white chick. You know, a straight pointy thin nose might not look good on a dark skinned chick. It may look good, but I think certain features, we're we obviously have different genetic codes. So I think genes definitely play their part. And, you know, a big old white chick for me is just like, dog, when I see a thick white chick with no clothes on, if she's not a fit thick white chick, she just start looking pudgy and fat to me. Whereas you can give me the same thing in a black chick.
That makes no sense.
I think what it is more.
That makes no sense.
Well, I'm about to explain it. I think what it is just the melanin hides certain things. So with the white chick, you know, like I could see every crease, I can see every time she done bent and sat in a place too long. Like I could see the imperfections a whole lot easier than let's say if I had
that's true.
You know,
simply because like
just because of the color itself.
Yeah, just because the skin is a lighter color.
Just because of the color, you know. It's not necessarily that I think anything worse. It's just like visually, I can see your imperfections way more than I can see the imperfections of let's say, a dark skinned chick or a brown skinned chick who might have the exact same body structure as you. You know, I think those things, there are some characteristics that race does play a part in. You know, I don't think your overall assumption of like, oh, well, I just can't be with no white chicks because I can see all their shits. I mean, that's a trash ass argument. But
yeah, that is.
It's an argument I guess you could make, but it's just a trash ass argument. But you know, that's just the case. You know, so when it comes to, you know, preferences, I don't think preferences and I don't think you're just born with those preferences. I think we have to realize that obviously we're not born with preferences because you have to experience certain things. Yeah. But we also, like Marty was saying, you got to take into consideration why you feel the way you do. Yeah. You know, and I ain't even prejudiced towards them. I fuck with the thick white chicks. I know what's up. This is a preference. You know what I'm saying? I've experienced it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I just
exactly. I feel you on that.
You know, I just don't want to see the imperfections if I can help it. You know what I'm saying? When a black chick got freckles on the ass, but she dark as fuck, I would never even know. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's some big ass freckles, I just would never know. Because she's super dark. But what about a white chick with freckles on the ass? I'm going to be thinking she got all kinds of measles and mumps. You know what I'm saying? And in actuality, they both can have the same exact shit going on. Now, there's some things about white chicks that I think black chicks don't necessarily get away with, you know? Like, slim white chicks, I almost look at slim white chicks like, oh, I see why white dudes like slim white chicks, because it's just, that's just a thing where it's just kind of like they just look better slim to me. But that could just be my eyes. You know, like I said, I ain't trying to see all that shit.
I guess I don't really get it personally, but
I mean, but you know, at the end of the day, when the pussy come a knocking, your boy give the cocking. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting it in there, getting it in. You know what I'm saying? No, man, listen, ain't no body shaming, bro. I'm just trying to tell you what the deal is. The deal is this: I just don't want to see it if I don't have to. You know. But I mean, if you got it, it ain't gonna deter me. I told you I had me a 300 pounder, brother. It was real.
Hey, man, I actually remember the moment, the very moment. It was like a light switch where I knew I was gonna like the thickness and never go back. Like, never go back.
You was hitting it from the back and the cheeks went like that, and that nigga Marty said, oh, okay, this is amazing.
No, it actually was before I had sex, but like, it was in middle school. I remember I went to water fountain, and like, you know, I just gonna get a drink of water, and then these chicks were late for class, and so one of them was like, you know, like, oh, hurry up, we're gonna be late, and like, this white chick ran by, right, and I'm talking like, I mean, she had a better body than like everybody else at her age, so like, she already had. She had the TNA. Like she already had the TNA going.
She was ready to wrestle.
Yeah, and so like she was running, and everything felt like it was in slow motion. Man. Like I was drinking the water, I looked up, and I was just like looking as she went by. I was like, "That's what I have to have." Like, there's no other. Like, that's what it's got to be, and that's what I'm attracted to.
Hey,
Like it was literally like a switch was just like popped on my back. Like somebody just like turned the light switch on.
Hey man, listen, I'm telling you.
No.
I'm down for
I had an anime moment, I guess. Like,
you know,
it literally was like that was a moment where I was like, yeah, that looks way better than not having that.
Yeah.
To me, so that's just. I mean,
this is not, like I said, this is not to go into, you know, what's particularly better than whatnot, because I mean, at the end of the day, like I told you, I loves the women's. So, I mean, y'all know how I am. This is where my goddamn preference is strong. Okay. I need to be able to take a picture with you from the neck up. That's just my thing. Okay. With your neck look from the neck down, I'm a little more forgiving, you know what I'm saying? But from the neck up, I'm gonna have to rocks with you, okay? That's just what it is, you know. And yeah, I like longer hair, but I don't really particularly care, you know. As long as you don't look crazy with short hair, don't be no big ass water buffalo head ass bitch, and then have a low haircut, you know. You know, I'm just gonna.
Wow.
You know, cause there's some chicks they can get away with that shit. Like some chicks got them old goddamn small head bald heads, and I can fuck with the small head bald head. Then some chicks got them point, Hey Arnold noggins. Okay, don't come with no Hey Arnold noggin. Talking about, you know what I'm saying? Talking about check out my fade. Check out my fade. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, you're tripping.
Oh my god.
I'm not trying to deal with that shit. Now if you got a big Hey Arnold head, but it's covered in hair, it's okay, you know what I'm saying? I probably won't even notice your head that big.
Yeah, see, Flamingo had that moment too. Like, he knew he was a leg man at that point. Like, okay, that's what's up, though.
Yeah, listen, that's what I'm talking about, man. Look, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody's gonna have their preferences. And like I said, I don't think prejudice or preference are inherently negative.
Yeah,
I think.
Now, like you know, I say all that, but also I have dated slim chicks as well, like that, you know, I'm not gonna use that as a predetermined, like, well, I'm just not even gonna talk to this girl because she doesn't have all that going on. Like that's not, you know. But that's what I'm talking about. Is there are people that like, you know, automatically put those people like at a point where they don't really want to talk to them or like really want, simply because they are a different ethnicity. They have more melanin in their skin than someone else, and I was like, that's really weird. Now, there are the social ramifications of having like mixed children, for example, because we still live in a society where, you know, those kids will get, you know, will probably be mistreated, and whether you want to bring kids into that, like, it's a decision that, you know, you would have to make. And that's not really what I'm getting at, you know, with the original discussion. No, because that means that you've thought about it and had experience, and you know, you're deciding that like it may be better to not pursue that route. And I get that. Like trust me, that's a you know, I was almost you know, I was in a pretty long relationship with a Japanese woman, so, you know, like I definitely thought about this like for quite some time. So
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You know, it's cool to like I said, always embrace your preferences, because I mean, that's, at the end of the day, it's preferred, you know, because you've experienced it and you realize that's what you want. I think the idea is just never predetermine what your experience is going to be before having the experience, especially when you're choosing a mate, or you're choosing somebody to date. You know, don't make the exclusionary reason be something like, oh, I just don't fuck with, you know, bitches that live on the east side, you know.
Yeah.
If you ain't never dated a bitch from the east side, I'm sorry, a lady of the east side. Let me keep it clean. Let me keep it clean. You know what I'm saying?
This guy.
But yeah, you know, it's you know, allow yourself to take certain experiences, but allow yourself, if you got certain prejudice, some of it might not be bad. You just have to understand where that line is for yourself. You know, like I said, somebody could I would give the benefit of the doubt to somebody arguing to me about, well, you never been with this transgender person, you never dated a transgender person. How do you know you wouldn't enjoy it? You know, me and Marty had a very good discussion, right?
Yeah, we
had this discussion. So, what if I dated a chick and she just never disclosed to me that she was transgender, and she, you know, y'all know who Dr. Miami is. Dr. Miami is out in the streets, okay? If y'all live in Miami or Atlanta, like, they got them plastic surgeries on lock. You might not be able to tell. Or if you ever heard of somebody named Sydney Starr, she's known to be like around a lot of hip hop entertainers. Like, these niggas don't even be knowing that this used to be a dude, or might still be born male genitalia. I don't even know if the transition has happened or not. But Dr. Miami obviously didn't got that thing to the point where you can't even tell, okay? So imagine you went on a date with somebody you didn't know, you know, shoulders weren't broad, you know, been taking the estrogen pills since they was 13, you know, so now they got full grown woman features. If this is like, you know, what happens when this is where it's like, okay, well, is this considered a preference or a prejudice when after, you know, 6 or 7 dates and you're assuming that you're going to move on with the relationship, you obviously ain't hit it yet, but you might have got some done, you know. Then the question becomes, when they tell you like, hey, listen, I didn't wake up like this, you know.
If they put it like that, I'm dead.
I didn't wake up like this, you know what I'm saying? And then you'd be like, oh, okay. You know, and it's like, oh, you didn't wake up like this. What you mean you didn't wake up like this? And it's like, they start showing you, they start peeling back the layers, brother. Now, you know, is it your preference or is it your prejudice that's not going to allow you to continue to date that person? Because you were really falling for the person, you were enjoying the person, but
I mean, you know, you guys may you know disagree with this simply because you're going to put yourself in that situation and feel the emotions of being lied to, but it's 100% prejudice. If you were already falling for this person and you were already like, I really like this person, I want to move forward with this person, and you know you fell for somebody that you thought they were, it's 100% prejudice. Now you were wronged in the situation.
Yeah, you were wrong. Because
I mean, they, you know, you fell for a person who you thought they were, and they ended up not being the person that you thought they were. But it's 100% prejudice. It's like it just there's no way around that.
Now the question is, do you find out if you want to make it a preference, or do you get the fuck on? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that is
up to how open you are as a person. You have a very good point, J. Dickel, relationship based on
but it's not okay. Okay, see, we talked about this earlier. J. Dickel, and it's not necessarily a lie. Like if you're casually dating somebody, this is the way that I see it, and I think that this is the way it should be. If you're casually dating somebody, whatever, and that person happens to be a transgender person, I do not feel that they are obligated. They shouldn't feel obligated to tell you if you're just like casually going on a few dates. Now, should they tell you? Sure, because it'll make things a lot easier.
It's in the best interest.
Yeah, it is in the best interest of the relationship for them to just be forthright with it, like, you know, and just say that. But it's not, you know, should they feel obligated to do so? No. Now, if you're going to move forward in the relationship and make it like, you know, I want to get to know you more. I want to spend more time with you. Going steady, as it were. Then yes, then it becomes an obligation to be like, okay, well, if we're gonna actually form a relationship here and not just casually date, this is what's going on. And then that's when I feel that they're obligated to say something at that point.
And let me tell y'all this. I was in y'all's shoes and I was like, man, no, nigga, that shit is not the case. But I as I always tell you, you got to realign it to something else. So imagine you as one of the viewers, or You know me. You know,
it's not like keeping AIDS.
Well, that's what I'm getting into. That's what I'm getting to. You go on a date with a person, and you don't have intentions of having sex with the person the first day, or you know, or even like 3 dates down the line. If you're not intending to have sex with this person, do you just tell every person that you meet that you have interest in, you got AIDS? Do you tell them, oh, you got herpes? Oh, I got some uncurable disease?
Exactly.
Right out is that the first discussion you have?
No,
you're not obligated. Now, you are obligated when it comes down to the point of y'all about to, you know, engage in sexual contact, or you know, if there's some kind of way where this person could be past your ailment.
Yeah, or like you are somehow exchanging fluids in some way.
Yeah, you know, y'all out doing, you know, seances and shit, and y'all drinking of each other's blood. You probably need to let them know, listen, man, before you got thing suck blood from my wrist, and we got thing roast this frog over a upside down cross or some shit. I need to let you know first.
We're performing rituals.
Yeah, I need to let you know. These goddamn blood cells ain't got no fucking T's in them. And the white ones is gone too. These are only colored blood cells. Niggas getting up out of here pretty soon. And if you want to join me, you know, it's cool. I got medication. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's something that is in the best interest. I think more so with that first example, it's probably better to disclose that up front, just because we know how people are, you know.
Well, I mean, that's only the reason why, and I'm reading the comments here, you know, intelligent is like, you know, it's a traumatic experience to feel like you were tricked into having sex with a man, and so, and it's like, okay, if you're going to take the relationship to that level,
then it needs to
then yes, like, it should be said. But if you, as I said, if you're just casually dating somebody, and you're in a normal relationship, not just like, oh, we meet and we're instant to have sex. Like, if you're in a normal relationship, you're going to casually date somebody first before you have sex with them, and then you move on to where I want to get more intimate with this person, then it should be disclosed. I'm not saying that. But if you're casually dating somebody, they shouldn't feel obligated to, when you meet them, to just be like, oh, by the way, I'm transgender. Oh, by the way, I have AIDS. Oh, by the way, I have this. Like, no, nobody should feel obligated to say that when you're casually dating somebody. That's crazy. Like the only reason people feel this way is because, like, the reason people feel this way is because of the weight that society puts on people about, like, if they're gay or not. You know, like you know the way dudes rib dudes about being gay and stuff like that.
Why
and
did you have to say rib?
What does it? Why does the word rib matter?
And rib condoms
Shut up.
getting put to use.
But yeah, like so you know, there's people getting ribbed about it, and like that's just a societal thing. Like, when you think about it critically, you think about it logically. What sense does it make for someone to have to disclose information like that on a first date? Like, that is, like, you know, that's something that they shouldn't necessarily feel obligated to do. Now, again, I do feel it is in the best interest of a relationship for them to do that, because it just gets everything out of the way. But should they feel obligated to do it? Absolutely.
And I see the people in the chat, I think y'all are missing Marty's point. He's not saying that it's, like, basically he's not saying that, okay, just don't tell them.
Well, hold on, first, your ultimate goal of dating is to get to know somebody. It's not necessarily to have sex. Okay? Your ultimate goal of dating is to get to know somebody, and you'll eventually find your mate, which you will have sex after that, but you are dating to get to know somebody. Right? That's why you're dating.
Get the pussy. Anyway, listen.
Don't listen.
But yeah, I think what Marty is really getting to, and I mean, just to reiterate his point, it's not, he's saying that the obligation basically is like, I'm not obligated, but it's best that you tell me. You know, it's best that you tell me when I meet you, even before I get your phone number, before I even invest any of my time with you. For this to work out the way you want it to work out, it's best you just go ahead and tell me so I can make my decision right there. So time is not wasted. So if I show interest beyond that, it can no longer be used as an excuse to dip. Oh, I didn't know you was a goddamn dude. Or whatever it was. I didn't know that you used to be a woman. Whatever the case is, that's already out the way. So it's in the best interest. But what Marty's saying is, if I don't even know if I'm gonna be fucking with you or not, why do I need to tell you?
That's not something that I really need to know.
Yeah, I don't need to know this shit. You know what I'm saying? Do I really need to know you got fucking herpes if I don't even know if we're gonna be going on any fucking dates? Mm-hmm. You don't go to the grocery store and tell a chick, hey man, you know what, man? I got the clap.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm reading some of these comments. I think that Intelligent has kind of a messed up view on how relationships with people work. Like, so you're saying no one hangs out with people of the opposite sex just to hang out? I personally have many female friends that I'm not romantically interested in that I go and do stuff with and I hang out with. Like, it's not like I'm trying to get with them. Like, a lot of them, whether they're single or whether they're married or whatever, like, I just know them. And I've known them for years. I've been friends with them. And we go out and we do stuff. Like, I don't really understand that notion of, like, not being able to have friends of the opposite sex that you can just hang out with.
We'll talk about that one day. Because I think I have a different view.
Maybe you do. Like,
I think I have a different
view. But, I mean, this is just my life. Exist. Like, this is just my, like, what I do in my life. So.
Yeah, I think it exists. It's something we could definitely touch on.
You think I'm rare intelligent? Like, I don't know about that, but I'm stuck in the friend zone. I'm not romantically interested in these girls. Like, why?
That nigga hairline's stuck in the twilight zone.
Yeah, right.
So it'll be alright. So. Anyway, I think really when it comes down to it, like you said.
Well, I mean, just real quick, this is just another societal thing. Like, this is another warped thing about society and the way that men view relationships and the way that they treat other men. Is that, like, because this was a big thing growing up and stuff too. Is like, if you weren't getting with chicks, if you weren't getting pussy or whatever, like, you were considered lame and getting laughed at, etc. And it's kind of the same thing now as we, do this friend zone shit, and people are just like, oh, well, you're just wasting your time. You're just wasting your time. You're not screwing this chick or fucking this chick or whatever. And it's like, what if I'm just friends with the person and I'm not romantically interested in this person, but I'm interested in someone else, or not interested at all? But
I think there is there's a reason. But like I said, I think we can actually get into the deep portion of that, because I feel like there's more than like the surface level of it. I do agree with you that sometimes niggas just being niggas and making a situation bigger than what it is. But I think there is something about the interaction between men and women and just how innocent it could possibly be. Because we'll talk about it. But
okay, so would I be cool if it happened to me? I mean, like if I had sex with someone and found out that they were transgendered? I mean, like, if I found out afterwards, I wouldn't be cool, because I feel that if we had gone to that level of relationship, then that should have been shared with me. Like, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go to that part of a relationship, then that should be open or whatever. But, like, if I go out with somebody and then, like,
and she just opening all your doors and
then, like,
paying for all your drinks, you know what I'm saying?
And then, like,
pulling your chair out.
But, like, if I go out with a transgender person and I find out later that they're transgendered or whatever, I'm not going to be, like, angry with them. I probably am not going to continue the relationship, or maybe I will, depending on how I feel about the person. But, like, just thinking off the top of my head, I probably would not continue the relationship. But I wouldn't be, like, angry at him or try to, like, beat him up or kill him, like a lot of these cases have been happening. Like, that's insanity. But I mean, would I just be cool with it if I got lied to? No. But that's what I'm saying, is that if you're going to go to that point of the relationship, then yes, it should be out. But if you're just casually dating somebody, no, I don't feel that they're obligated to share that once again, should they share that if they, think it's going to go somewhere? Sure, because that's only healthier for the relationship.
And that's what he's getting to, intelligent. Yeah, he would feel tricked if he went on all this. If they allowed him to catch feelings without disclosing this, he's going to feel. He's not going to be pleasant with that shit. Okay?
Well, no, I mean...
Okay, because they didn't disclose it. What he's merely saying is, it's still up to them. It's not like...
Yeah.
Like, for the best interest of the relationship, if it's going to go anywhere, it may not go nowhere because he might realize, listen, I just don't... That's not my type of shit. I'm glad you disclosed this to me. You know what? Maybe we could just continue talking for right now. Because you seem to be a nice person, but we're not going to go any further because we're not I'm not delving in a relationship. That's not my preference. Fuck it, I'm prejudiced to that shit, and I ain't trying to come up off my prejudice. However, it would be he's saying that them not telling him, it's only gonna make it worse for his reaction. But they don't have to because they don't even know if they're gonna talk to him no more. So it may be an irrelevant point to let me know you're transgender if I wasn't planning on talking to your ass. No way. You weren't planning on seeing me ever again. It don't matter if I knew you was a transgender or not. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have Irish in your goddamn family.
Yeah.
I don't know that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got diabetes running in your goddamn family when I run up on you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter until we get in a situation where, maybe let's think about us having kids together. Or, what is your background health-wise?
Exactly. Like, that's when you start really talking about that stuff. Like, there's steps to these things. Like, one of the problems is that, like,
Blue Heim was good.
People are just going out and, like, having random casual sex with people. And if you are going to do that, then someone should be upfront with you. But again, if you're just out of the club and, like, you're intoxicated or something, you go to have sex with somebody and that happens to you, you cannot blame that other person, really, because you chose to just, go out with somebody random. Like, that's why you should get to know people and then decide later on. Like there's steps to relationships that people just choose to not do simply because they just want to have sex or something, but then they get upset with other people for the decisions that they've made.
Now hold up, Marty. Hold up now.
Hold up, okay.
If I go out to the club and I bought you all these goddamn drinks, I done spit my best game ever. We go to the house and a meat log fall out, Marty. You should have told me about that before I got
that is on you.
But I'm saying if, like, you should have, you know what we're going to do. That's where it's kind of like, okay, you know what's up. You know why you want me to come back to your house. Go ahead and let me know.
But you
plan on knocking me out with a log of meat. Okay?
But that's what I'm saying. If you are going to go to that point in the relationship, then yes, it should be disclosed at that point. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to be intimate with somebody.
Well, no, I mean, you just said that's on you. And I guess maybe, I don't know if I misinterpreted. I had to clarify. Because, like, hold up. No, that needed to be disclosed because they know what the fuck was about to go down.
But now, that's what I'm saying. If you are going, that's what I said before. If you're going to have sex with somebody, like if you're going to be intimate with somebody, then like they should disclose that. Like I agree with that. Like, but if you're not doing that, or like if you're just dating somebody, because again, somebody's like, as soon as we start dating, you should tell me. I mean, if we're just friends, you don't have to tell me. But like, if we're just dating, like, why would somebody that's just going to go on a date with you tell you something like that? Like that makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
They would tell you if they plan on.
If they plan on being like, if they plan on having sex with you or something, yes. If they're just dating you, no. Why would anybody tell you that? Well, that doesn't make any sense.
I think
they shouldn't feel obligated to tell you that. Yeah, rather, should they tell you if they want to pursue something further with you? Yes. Yeah. But them just telling you that, like because they randomly like go on a date with you or something, no. Like why should they feel obligated to do that? Because of your insecurity. Because of your insecurity of your sexuality, like if that shit ends up happening to you or whatever, then yeah, that really sucks. I'm not saying that it doesn't suck.
Let's use the word other than suck. I guess you can say that.
That's a really terrible thing to have happen. It's a really terrible thing to have
but that ain't much better.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing to have happen. But think about why you're getting upset. Again, think critically about it. It's like, are you getting upset because there's a certain image that you think you need to uphold as a man, and you feel that your manhood has been threatened or whatever, you know, or simply because like you've been lied to. Now I say all that, you know, to say once again, if you're going to be intimate with a person, then yes, they should disclose that to you, like hands down. If you are just going to casually date someone,
that motherfucker might have 3 feet hanging between his fucking legs.
it's possible.
Then not only am I going to be bamboozled, I'm also going to have all kind of insecurity. This motherfucker might be out there fucking all the bitches. You know what I'm saying? And then what am I supposed to do? Fuck after that motherfucker? That motherfucker got 3 feet hanging between his legs. Shit look like a damn elephant trunk. And I had to see this shit right in front of my... What they pull it out, and while I'm sitting on the couch, they hit me over the head with it, Marty. Take my wallet.
You get knocked out by it.
You know what I'm saying? I never even knew it was there. Should have told me. You know, but yeah, I definitely I do agree with Marty. I think obligation, not obligated. In their best interest, if they want something to happen, and this is just simply the dating aspect. If I meet a chick and she wants it to be pursued, she wants it to go further than our initial state, knowing the situation, knowing our society, you know what I'm saying? You know, I think there's a certain responsibility of that person to tell you, only because they know the ramifications in normal settings of, you know, if I want this to work, I know how people would view this if I don't tell you until 4 or 5 dates down the line, when we start to get to know each other. You're probably going to not like this shit, or you're probably going to overreact because you're going to feel like it's something I should have told you. Now, I don't feel like I should have to tell you. I don't feel like I should have to, but as me being a person who has maybe has even experienced it before, you know, maybe I waited 4 dates down the line, I really like this one person, and then I told them, and their response was, why the fuck did you tell me the first date so I could tell you that I'm into that or I'm not into it? And because of my experiences, I may find this the wisest thing to do for the progression of the relationship, because people don't like to be quote unquote hit over the head with stuff at the, you know, later down the line, you know.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. I think for the betterment of the situation, the person has the conscious decision of whether or not they want to tell. They know what their experiences are for telling people up front or telling people later. But as you said, I don't go in the fucking produce aisle and tell the goddamn person working in Kroger, listen man, I got fucking crabs on my balls.
Yeah.
You know, because it is of no consequence if I don't plan on.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to get through to these people, and it's just like going in one ear and out the other.
Hey man, listen, Marty, it's just you know what it is, Marty. The
I know what it is.
You know how we gotta roll in the streets. That's why we here having these good discussions, man. And maybe it'll click later, you know. Maybe right now, you know, you're in the chat, man. You gotta goddamn defend your honor, brother. You can't goddamn.
Oh boy.
And you already been chatting to the motherfucker, so they know you in here. Like, damn, that nigga whore didn't say nothing when that came up. I'm gonna have to talk to that nigga whore about some shit. You know, that nigga intelligent ain't say shit when this shit came up. But nah, it's all good fun. Yeah, you know, this is all good conversation. Just things to think about. That's what we do here.
Right, so if you rob me, it's my fault. What? Okay. What is the deal with people correlating like transgender people to criminals? Like I don't understand. Like what is the correlation there? Like
deceit.
What?
That's a deceit.
What the hell? So that makes no sense.
Oh shit.
Imagine buying food and the ingredients aren't disclosed. That's completely different. If you,
but this is why that doesn't apply.
That doesn't apply at all. Like these make no sense.
Because the intent is that you are going to eat the food. And this is what Marty's saying. Yeah, if you're going to partake in the goddamn festivities, then they need to tell you what the festival's about. Okay?
Exactly.
But
if you're not going to.
Yeah, if you're not going to be in the festival, well, why the fuck am I giving you a full rundown of all the shows we're doing?
Plus also, when you're consuming food, first off, like, there are certain things that could literally kill you if you eat them. Like, if you're allergic to certain things.
Yeah.
And various reasons of why. The various reasons why, companies put, the ingredients on foods that you buy. That is a life and death situation. If you have sex with a transgender person, that's not a life or death situation. It's not. Like, these two things are not remotely the same in any way.
My social life.
My social life isn't exactly. Exactly. AIDS kills, but exactly. So if you're going to have sex with somebody, they need to tell you if they have AIDS or not. Like, we already went over that. Yes. If you're going to have sex with someone and that person has AIDS, they need to let you know, look, I have AIDS, so like, you probably don't want to do this. Whatever. Like, that's their responsibility to do that. But if you just go up and you want to go grab coffee or grab a drink with someone, kind of be like, well, before you get involved with me, gotta let you know that I have AIDS. Okay, well, we're just gonna go get a cup of coffee. Like, I'm not gonna have sex with you. Like, what?
Well, I ain't know if he's gonna be sharing a cup. I got this gum gingivitis problem.
Sharing a cup. Hey, that doesn't.
Shit.
As I said, I already went over when they should feel obligated to disclose the information.
Yeah, he did.
When you become, when you choose to go to a further level in a relationship, you choose to be intimate, you choose to have sex, whatever. That's when it needs to be disclosed. But if you're in a relationship, like, if you're not having sex with that person or whatever, like, why should they feel obligated to say that to you? Once again, it will probably be healthier for the relationship if they just came out and said it. But should they feel obligated to simply because they're dating you? No.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. The obligation.
Yeah.
Versus what is better for the situation. Those are separate from each other because, obligation. Okay, I'll give you this.
Yes, I'm sure it's not a life or death situation.
All right.
I'm positive.
I'll give you this in another realm, right? As a man dating a woman with kids, I'm not obligated to do shit for her kids until we get married and they're in my household. Then they become a part of my obligation.
Yeah, they're part of your family at that point. Like, yeah.
That is an obligation.
Yes.
Now, is it in my best stand? Is it better for the relationship that along the way to getting married, that I cultivate a relationship with the kids? Yes, it's going to be better for the functionality or the turnout. Because if we get married and then I start wanting to fuck with the kids probably gonna already be in fuck you mode. Or I might just learn that these motherfuckers are in fuck you mode. You know what I'm saying? The relationship could falter and fall all to pieces because I waited too long to delve into that part of the relationship. Exactly the same thing applies to what Marty's saying. Now, the obligation of the person being like, listen, I got 2 balls on the field. You know what I'm saying? Just like you do. The obligation of the person, the obligation of the person telling you that, I feel it comes into play once we're about to go play baseball. And I'm looking like I just want to go chill in the dugout. That's all I want to do. You can fuck with the balls on the field, have a ball. But then you go and tell me like, listen, there ain't no dugout, player. It's only balls on the field. You're only an outfielder in these streets. You're only up the bat. well, fuck, I just want to chill in the dugout, man. So I can't fuck with that shit. That's when the obligation rolls around. But is it better to know that up front? Because if you go ahead and tell me, listen, bro, everybody's on the field all 9 innings, bro, and then you're just like, okay, well, I don't want to play that game. You know, I don't want to go. That ain't the kind of baseball I want to play. It's cool. Yep. Who even knows? The person might be like, you know what? I never played that kind of baseball before. Not typically something I'd fuck with, but you seem nice enough, and you did tell me right up front. So let's just see how this baseball game goes. Maybe we won't even get to go play baseball, but you might be a nice coach. I might learn something from you. That's what he's saying in a nutshell. It's basically, they don't have to tell you, but it's just going to work out better for the relationship in general if they decide to go ahead and disclose that to you. But, if they don't, they're just going to bear the consequences of, they're just going to bear the consequences.
It's not about being PC. It's about treating people as human beings. Like if you get to go know, if you go to get to know somebody, you're dating them or whatever. Like, that's the point of going on the date, is to get to know somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so you get to know them as a person or whatever. So you find out later that they're transgender, and you choose not to pursue a further relationship with them, blah blah whatever. It's not a waste of time getting to know somebody. Like, that's not really a waste of time. Like, or usually it's not. If you're only going out to date to have sex, then yeah, I suppose that is a waste of time. But if you're going on a date to get to know somebody, or to, or whatever, then that's not a waste of time. Like, it could be considered a waste of time, I guess, because you don't get to have sex with the person, which is the entire problem of the way we think. Panther touched on it as well, but like, that is the entire problem of the way that we think as a society. And like, it just needs to change, and until it does, like, we're just gonna have circular conversations like this.
Yeah, because I think there's definitely, I understand their viewpoints, and I think at the moment what they're getting caught up in is just the idea of having to sit it through it, and they're not. I don't know if they're getting the segments of what's being said, because really nobody expects you to have to go on dates with, let's just say if it was gay dudes approaching you, I guess you would just know that, so there wouldn't be any foolery around with that. But let's say if you was a transgender woman that you were dating, we understand that nobody wants to be.
Hey, listen, what did you accomplish during that time? Like, did you complete the mission, soldier? Did you have sex? That's a ridiculous mentality. Like,
now, I will say this.
I don't understand that mentality at all.
I can understand the waste of time, even if it has nothing to do with sex. If my goal is to be trying to find a mate that I'm compatible with on whatever the level is, right?
Yeah.
And I know that if you told me this when we first met, that don't mean I wouldn't like you as a person, but my advances in everything I'm doing is to further a relationship with somebody that I want to, like me, the person pursuing. If I pursued you, I thought you was this hot chick, and I pursued you, everything I did, the time I put in to schedule this meeting that we got together, the money I put into our dates or the scheduling that I did all this because I'm pursuing you, because I want to, from my view, you look like what I want to have in the future as a mate. If you don't disclose to me that you're not even nowhere near the league of what I really am trying to get to, I can see how you can see that as a waste of time, because basically I've been doing all this shit. I could have went and did this for a actual woman, in my mind. I'd be like, I could have done this for another woman, and it may have not panned out, but at least I would have been working towards something that could have been a goal. This is not even me working towards a goal. This is me working towards a wall that I was going to run into whenever you decide to put it up. So I could understand why they would say it's a waste of time, even if it wasn't necessarily about getting the goods. You know, even if it was like further thinking. You know, how long? Because, and like your point saying like if they want to further the relationship, it definitely needs to be said. But I mean, I done dated some people 6 months before we decided to further the relationship. In 6 months, you decide to tell me something you could have told me month 1, week 1, day 1.
Yeah, which again, as I said, like, you know, oh my God, I'm just repeating myself over and over again.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm just giving you their perspective, as opposed to you and me understand exactly what we're talking about when it comes to this. But given their perspective, I could understand why they would be up in arms. And maybe at the moment it ain't sinking in, but they might go watch this shit tomorrow when it's less blood boiling in their lungs, in their loins, and might pick it up. But it's 11:36. Your boy got to go to work early in the morning. M-Dog got to catch the train back to his car.
Sure do.
So we can't have him in here a little bit. If y'all want to discuss this anymore, hit us up on Let's Talk Tuesday. We hit you up on Twitter. We definitely continue the conversation. Appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate everybody looking. Giving us the shout outs on the retweets. Coming through, putting in your input. We always appreciate it. Special thanks to the host that we had tonight, man. It was definitely a great show to me. I think we expounded on a lot of topics, got a lot of opinions, a lot of points of view.
Yep.
I'd like to thank Marty for coming down on this side of town as he does every week.
Yeah.
Give a big round of applause to Marty, because he don't got to be coming down here, man. We stay on the nigga side, you know what I'm saying? He ain't got to come subject himself to this niggerdom. But he does for the people, you know what I'm saying?
That's why I do it.
It's just great having everybody around, man. Really, really excellent show. We can only thank you all for making it worth being done, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, really appreciate everybody coming out. And on that note, we will be making an out.
Yeah. Making an outro, people.
Till next time, like I said, follow us on Twitter, hit us up. If you got a topic, I don't know if Thug Hachi's still in here. Not Thug Hachi, what is the Hey Hachi dude? If you're still in here,
$12 Hey Hachi.
$12 Hey Hachi. If you want to have a topic you want to bring up, you want to talk about that stuff from what's going on in Chicago, just hit us up on Let's Talk Tuesday, and we'll be definitely down to talk about it. If y'all got anything that y'all want to talk about throughout the week, like I said, hit us up.
Please hit us up on Twitter at Let's Talk Tuesdays.
All right, so, till next time.
It's been real, y'all. Peace.
Peace. I like when I hit peace and then it takes a long ass time to actually fade this out.
We gotta work on that.
We'll work on it. Peace.
See you later.